Yep.
Okay. And we're on record.
Are we all set? Okay.
You're good to go.
Okay. Good morning. I hereby call to order the meeting of the Assessment Appeals Board number 2. Brandon, will you please conduct the roll call?
Board Member Curtis.
Present.
Board Member Ferris.
Present.
Board Member Little. She's absent. Board Member Sisk.
Present.
And Board Member Hess. He is also absent. That completes the roll call.
All right. Time for Pledge of Allegiance. Okay. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing. I will now place you under oath. You must be under oath before testifying before the Assessment Appeals Board. When I complete administering your oath, please state I do. Please raise your right arm. You and each of you do solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give in the matters now pending before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Thank you. You may now be seated.
Thank you. Now, if you'll conduct the agenda review, Brandon.
The clerk of the board recommends approval of the agenda review by the Assessment Appeals Board. The agenda review consists of the following agenda items. Item 9, application number 15-10003, applicant Anacapa Mobile Home Park LP, Peter Wang, denied due to lack of appearance. Item number 15, application number 15-10102, applicant Seward Zemin LLC, removed from the agenda due to the submission of a withdrawal. Item number 16, application number 15-10103, applicant Ashwin and Urmila A. and Regine A. Patel Trust, Ashwin Patel, removed from the agenda due to the submission of a withdrawal. Item number 20, application number 15-10191, applicant Scarron Properties LLC, removed from the agenda due to the submission of a withdrawal. Item number 23, application number 15-10218, applicant GRB Company, removed from the agenda due to the submission of a withdrawal. Item number 26, application number 15-10249, applicant Mark Boyd, continued to December 12th, 2016, pending receipt of original stipulation. Item number 29, application number 15-10404, applicant Marianne Eid Ron Calda, continued to December 12th, 2016, pending receipt of original stipulation. Item number 47, application number 15-10717, applicant Chuck Kane, denied due to lack of appearance. Item number 67, application number 15-11011, applicant Tradewinds Commercial Center LLC, Dale Strickland, denied due to lack of appearance. Item number 68, application number 15-11077, applicant Busy Beach LLC, denied due to lack of appearance. Item number 70 through 72, application number 15-11113 through 15-11115, applicant Fresh and Easy LLC, removed from the agenda due to the submission of a withdrawal. Item number 73, application number 15-11185, applicant Hakeem Baccarat, denied due to lack of appearance. Item number 77, application number 15-11377, applicant Holiday Retirement Tenant, removed from the agenda due to the submission of a withdrawal. Item number 91, application number 15-11621, applicant Nielsen Hammer SV1 LLC, David Naruzzi, denied due to lack of appearance. Item number 93, application number 15-11626, applicant Karen Socher, denied due to lack of appearance. And that completes the agenda review. The clerk of the board recommends approval.
Okay. Looking
So
for.
moved.
So moved.
Second from it.
Second?
Please vote. I need one more vote. Is there?
Oh, for me? Oh,
All right. And that motion passes.
okay. Are there any members of the public who wish to speak on matters not appearing on the meeting agenda so far? Okay. Any board members wish to speak on matters not appearing on the agenda so far? Nope. Okay. All right. We'll go through the remaining items on the agenda, and we'll determine the status, and we'll proceed with those later as they come up. Agenda. Okay. Okay, so it's time for the regular agenda. It's my second time up here with the microphone. I'm usually on either side of me.
So if you just want to call that.
Okay. Okay. ABC Audiovisual Company, Wayne Olson.
Excuse me, Chair Sisk, if you could also read the application number when you
Oh.
call each item, just
Sorry,
to
yeah.
make sure we're all on track.
Switch to the other page here. Application 15-10470. Okay, state your name, please.
Good morning, my name's Wayne Olson.
Okay.
This is a request for reconsideration of a hearing officer's decision to deny due to lack of appearance. I believe it's a really quick item if the board wants to examine it quickly and get this one off the calendar, or the board could come back and hear this as its first hearing.
Okay. Is the assessor's office prepared to move forward today?
No, because it's not on the official agenda.
Okay.
It is a reconsideration hearing, so the assessor's office isn't necessary to prepare a presentation in this matter. It would be the applicant testifying as to why they request the board reopen their case, and then the board making the decision to reopen the case or not.
Okay. So the denial due to lack of appearance, what was the story behind the lack of appearance?
I was ill that morning and I did not, I sent an email late and I apologize. I know your time's worth a lot.
Okay.
I just simply missed it and it was entirely my fault, but due to an illness.
Okay.
Excuse me, Chairman Sisk, can we have the applicants as they come up state their name for the record,
Yes.
just so we're making?
Yes. Okay.
Did I
Okay.
say- Did I say my name? Wayne Olson?
Yes,
the
you
applicant
did.
stated his name.
Okay.
Okay, so it sounds like the chair would like to cover this issue real quickly. Is that my correct understanding?
That's fine, yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to hand out
Do we want to
the application.
go through the agenda review and come back to this, or do this really fast?
Well, that's what I was trying to
Okay.
clarify. It'll be real quick.
Okay.
And just also going to hand out the boards. Okay.
So again, to the applicant, you had just forgotten the date.
No, I didn't forget the date. I woke up that morning and I have some medical issues that constant medical issues, and it just was not a good idea for me to come that day.
Sure, okay. And then after that point, when did you contact the clerk of the board?
I contacted him that morning, or I sent an email just prior to your start time, but it was certainly too late. Obviously, Mr. Velakis has his hands full, and I sent the email that morning, though.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yes, to the board members in your packet, I've included, of course, we provided all the notices that show that he was scheduled for hearing. Towards the back is also a copy of the emails. He informed Mr. Azcoa with the assessor's office at 9:29 a.m. on the day of the hearing that he would not be able to attend due to medical issues. And so, of course, everyone at that time was in the hearing, so no one got his email until after the fact. But had the clerk received notification before or before the motion was made to deny the case, we would have recommended continuance due to medical circumstances. And so as he has testified that it was due to medical circumstances, the recommendation would be that the board grants his request for reconsideration.
Okay, and this is dealing with business personal property?
Correct, yes.
Okay, and again, you're going to hear it in front of the hearing officer? You've chosen?
I'm sorry?
You've chosen to hear it in front of the hearing officer?
I believe so. There's a few things that I'm unclear about.
Sure, the hearing officer is just one person that you'll be dealing with. The board is the
Right.
three of us.
Yes, that sounds
That's-
like that is the,
For the hearing officer, you could have personal property heard.
okay, yes.
Okay. I would be in favor of having the applicant come back.
Okay. Okay. Looking for a motion to, can we pick a date from here?
Well, at this point, we'd be just looking for a motion to approve the applicant's request for reconsideration.
Okay, so I make a motion to approve the applicant's reconsideration of a hearing.
I'll second.
Thank you.
Please vote.
Vote, why did I say no? I said no, I don't know why. Just tap up.
It won't let you push the yes. There we go.
There you go. Okay. Crazy.
Okay, and that passes. And then,
We'll have to pick a hearing date?
correct, the next date of the hearing officer is January 31st, 2017. That the clerk of the board would recommend a motion to schedule the evaluation hearing for January 31st, 2017.
Yes, that's
Okay.
fine with me, yes.
So that date is okay with you?
Yes, sir. Yes.
Okay. So tomorrow, I guess, is not, it's too quickly, right?
The assessor's office would have to sign a 45-day waiver
Oh, okay.
if they
Just curious.
were up to having it tomorrow.
All right, so January would be fine. January, what was the date, Brendan?
31st.
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 The assessor would like to weigh in on this. Christopher Horn for the assessor's office. January 31st is looking already heavy for us, especially with the business property side. And to date, the applicant hasn't provided any data. So I'd like the clerk of the board to offer up a secondary date, if possible.
The following hearing officer date after that is not until March 31st, or March 21st, 2017.
Now, to the applicant, too, you can also have your case heard before the board of the three-member board also.
I certainly would like to get to the bottom of it. There's a number of things that I still need to sort of figure out what happened in prior years and subsequent years, and there's some collection going on.
So have you been
So-
talking to the assessor's office with?
I have, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I would need to, again, there's been, it's gone through a year or so, so there's a couple of new people. But I do have some correspondence with them, and we'll continue to do that so I can get to the bottom of what they need and what I need as far as
Sure.
coming to an understanding of what went wrong.
Well, it sounds like the assessor's office for business personal property might be busy in January to the assessor. Do you have another date? If it's heard before the board?
Oh, if it's heard before the board?
If it were to go before the
The
board, it
February?
would be February 13th, 2017, so 2 weeks after the other date.
So February 13th for the three-panel,
It-
or March 1st, the
Whatever
single.
works best for you guys, I'm not.
But we're not saying we can't come to a resolution prior to. I'm just, based on some of your comments, it sounds as if there may need to be some research and some further communication done on your part.
Yes.
In order to provide us the data. And the January deadline, one, doesn't work for us, and it may not be the best for you.
I will go with whatever your recommendation is. I know there's some collection.
Do you want to go with the one panel, or the one-person panel?
I-
If it were to go in front of the board?
Whatever seems to be the most easiest thing. I'm not.
Let's
I'm
go
not
with March.
Particular with
Let's,
either one.
let's just go with March.
Okay.
Okay, so March would be the one-person hearing officer. And it's best to really talk to the assessor's office between now and March. He'll probably come to a resolution anyway, so you won't be coming to the March.
Perfect. That sounds like that's the plan. I think I would definitely get that taken care of, hopefully even before the end of the year. I know you guys are busy, but I can-
We have a gentleman here who will, after we finish up, he'll talk to you.
perfect. Okay, thank you.
Okay, what day was that
To
again
the
in March?
clerk, do you need a motion for the March date?
Yes, the recommended motion is to schedule the evaluation hearing for March 21st, 2017.
Okay, looking for motion to postpone till March 23rd?
So
March
moved,
20,
Second.
March 21st,
correct.
21st, not the 23rd, sorry.
March 21st,
2017.
Okay.
If the board members could please vote on that motion.
So again, you're scheduled for March 21st, so it's best to, just talk to the assessor's office, be in continual touch with them between now and March, and you'll probably get it resolved.
Perfect. Awesome. Thank you.
If not, we'll see you back in March.
Hopefully before then, I'll take care of that. I'm sure I will.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
It is recommended we go next to items 11 through 13.
Okay. Item 11 through 13, 15-10040, 10290, and then 16-10371. GB Kodiak LLC, Ron Peterson.
Good morning.
Morning, state your name, please.
Paul Konopelski, I'm the representative for Mr. Peterson.
Okay.
Present. Ron Peterson.
Okay, and then can you state some facts of your case, please?
These are three unsecured personal property tax assessments. There have been three separate appeals filed for 2011, for 2015, and the most recent one for 2016, which they just added to the agenda. We are appealing both the taxable situs in Ventura County for the vessel for those 3 years, and a secondary component to that is the underlying valuation of the vessel for those same periods of time. I have been working with Mr. Azakora on the valuation issue. We came close on that, but we had a secondary issue on penalties. The reason we're concerned about the valuation is not only in conjunction with the appeal itself, but if in the future they bring the boat back to Ventura County as they age up and stop traveling, we want to have at least a basis where we don't have to go through this again. If we file the form and say the boat's going to stay in Ventura County.
Okay.
Secondly, based on the history of the vessel, the current history of the vessel, the travel patterns, and the time in California versus not, it is our position that Ventura is not a taxable situs for the vessel for those 3 years.
Okay, and about how long will your case take to present?
Well, what I have done is I have a booklet with the attachments which mirror the documents that were filed with the appeals. I also have a 5-page summary which states facts, and it also has law relative to the assessor handbook and a particular case relative to taxable situs.
Okay.
I'm hoping to move quickly. It shouldn't take more than a half an hour.
Okay. And Assessor's Office, are you prepared to move forward? Did you have any comments?
The assessor's office is also prepared to move forward.
Okay.
We're anticipating about 30 minutes for our presentation.
Okay. So we will come back to this one after we complete the review, and you guys will be first.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
I recommend item 14 being called next.
Yep. Item 14, 15-10042, Oxnard Petroleum LLC, Hercel Ramian.
My records show no one has checked in for this item this morning. Therefore, the clerk of the board would recommend the board make a motion to deny due to lack of appearance.
So moved.
Just to make sure, is there anyone here from Oxnard Petroleum? Okay, second?
All right. Board members, please vote.
Excuse me, Chairman Sisk. I have a question for the clerk. We skipped number 10 in the agenda.
Yes, there's a large group of them we're going to cover at the end for that agent. They
All right,
have almost
okay.
half the agenda, so we'll get
That
back to
agent's
that.
like 10 of them, so we're going to come back. Okay.
Item 17.
Next item, 17, 15-10181, Victor Nguyen.
Good morning. My name is Victor Alan Nguyen, and I just given information today, so I would like to request for continue
Okay.
hearing.
Okay, Assessor's Office?
The Assessor's Office has no objections to Mr. Nguyen's asking for a continuance.
Okay.
To date, no data had been provided until this morning.
Okay.
He just provided it, so the clerk of the board can charge the continuance to him.
Okay. What dates do we have available, Brandon?
The recommended date is to continue to February 13th, 2017.
Is that agreeable, February
Can I
13th?
get maybe on March or April?
You would like
Later,
later
okay.
than that?
Yes, because I have eye surgery.
Okay, we have April 3rd, 2017. Is that acceptable?
Yes, please.
Okay, looking for motion to postpone until April 3rd.
Thank you.
Second.
All right, board members, please vote. That passes. Looks like we're at 28 now.
Okay, I was going to confirm that. Item number 28, 15-10306, Lujan Transport Incorporated, Amelia Lujan.
Good morning. My name is Amelia Lujan.
Good morning.
And, I need also a little bit of more time, please.
Okay. Assessor's Office?
The Assessor's Office has no problem with granting, or with the board granting continuance. All we want to do is make known that to date, no data has been provided by
Okay.
the applicant. Do you have data with you today that you would like to provide?
A few, but I'm not ready yet.
No, but do you have data that you would like to give to us today?
I could show you what I have.
Okay. The only thing that I ask is that a proviso, 30 days from today.
Okay. Okay, so they will need all of the information they've requested within 30 days of when we set the next hearing. Is that acceptable?
30 days of today?
No, 30
No,
days. 30
prior
days
to-
No, 30
when?
days from today's
Oh,
date.
30 days from today, so they need the information within 30 days of today. Is that agreeable? Can you
Yes.
get, okay, great. And then do we have a date to,
The recommended date would be February 13th, 2017.
is that okay with the Assessor's Office?
Yes.
That's okay with us?
And the applicant too? Okay.
Yes.
Looking for a motion to move to February 13th with the proviso that all the data is supplied to the Assessor's Office within the next 30 days.
Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
All right, please vote. One more vote. There we go. All right. And that takes us to
Number
32.
32, application 15-10421, George McNee.
This applicant, this applicant called me on Friday and advised me that they would not be attending the hearing. I explained that the case would be denied due to lack of appearance. They understood and did not express interest in pursuing the matter further. Therefore, the recommendation is to deny due to lack of appearance.
So moved.
Second.
And please vote.
Okay. Item 33, 15-10458, Lanny Trust, William Matzner. Is there a William Matzner in the audience?
No one checked in for this item this morning. Does not appear anyone is coming forward. Therefore, the board would recommend to deny due to lack of appearance.
So moved.
Second.
All right, next item.
You need a vote on that?
Oh,
Sorry.
sorry.
And that motion passes. Give me just a second. I'm
Okay.
running a little behind. Okay. And I'm ready for the next item, 34.
34, application 15-10520, Gregory Tijayan? Is there Gregory Tijayan in the audience?
No one has checked in for this item this morning. Therefore, the recommendation is to deny due to lack of appearance.
So moved.
Second.
And please vote. Thank you.
Okay, item 35, application 15-10584, Vidal Valencia? We have
There
a-
was this is a request for approval of facsimile stipulation. Sorry, did someone say something?
No.
Okay. This was provided to the board members for review last week with their stipulations. It was continued from a prior hearing for the applicant to submit their stipulation. The 30-day timeline for the assessor to obtain the original has passed. Therefore, it is being requested that the board approve the facsimile stipulation so that there's no further delay in issuing the reduction to the taxpayer.
Okay, looking for a motion to approve?
Okay, so moved.
Second.
All right, and please vote. Second, need one more vote. Thank you.
Okay.
And I'm ready for the next one.
Items 36 through 38, application 15-10609 through 10611, Huang Incorporated, Helen He.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Helen He. I'm coming here just to request I need a little bit more time to prepare all the documents.
Okay.
Somehow I short time, I didn't prepare all the documents today. So I request it a little bit more time.
Okay. Assessor's office?
The assessor has no objection to a continuance if granted by the board. To date, no data has been provided by the
Okay.
applicant. 30-day proviso.
Same step, okay.
No problem.
Okay, do we have a date
The
in
recommended
mind?
date again would be February 13th, 2017.
Was that okay with you, Helen?
To February,
February 13th?
can I do January, February?
The next one that would work would be February 13th. You're asking if it can be sooner?
All March.
Okay,
All January because the holiday, China holiday. I
April
need
3rd? Would April 3rd be
Yeah,
acceptable?
that's okay. Yeah.
Okay, looking for a motion to postpone until April 3rd with the proviso that all the data that the assessor's office requested is provided to them within the next 30 days.
Okay.
Okay, looking for a motion?
Thanks.
So moved.
Second.
All right, and please vote.
Okay, next application, 39 through 46. Application number 15-10693 through 10700, South Street Center LLC, Kathleen Young. Please state your name, sir.
Chris Tucker, agent for the applicant. So for this, we're asking for a continuance.
Okay,
And just the main reason is that this part of the center just sold, and we need to incorporate that sale into our analysis. So we need just a little bit more time to look at it.
okay. Assessor's office?
The assessor has no problem with the continuance being granted today by
Okay.
the board.
And data, do you need data?
I believe we have most of the data. If there's anything new that they discover when they incorporate the new parcel into their analysis. We'd like it within the next 30 days.
Okay.
Sounds good.
Okay, and we have a date for that, Brandon?
Recommended date would be February 13th, 2017.
Is that okay with you?
That's fine.
Okay. So looking for a motion to postpone to February 13th with the proviso that the new information is presented to the assessor's office within the next 30 days.
So moved.
Second?
All right, please vote. All right, and this agent has one other item on the agenda, so I recommend we jump there.
Okay.
It is item 69.
9, okay. Application 11099. Okay,
This is just going to be another continuance.
okay,
This is going to be a withdrawal, but we need approval from the client. So as long as we get the continuance, we'll probably be able to withdraw in the next couple weeks.
okay. So should we just postpone it to February,
Right.
assuming it won't get that far?
That's fine.
Okay, sorry.
No, the assessor has no problem with the continuance. The agent and I talked about this, and we expect a withdrawal to be coming through. Pushing it off till February is fine. We don't expect it, like what Mr. Tucker said, to get past the next 2 weeks.
Right.
Okay. Looking for a motion to postpone to February 13th.
Second?
All right, please vote. Okay, and that bounces us back to item number 48.
48, okay.
And 49.
Application
Thank you, Board.
15-10781 and 10782, John Maynard.
Good morning. My name is John Maynard, and I'm here to appeal property value on 2 small boats.
Okay. Are you prepared to move forward today?
Yes.
About how long will your case take?
Probably not more than 15 minutes.
Okay. Assessor's office?
The assessor is not ready to move forward.
Okay.
As of today, Mr. Maynard has not provided any data regarding the property in question.
Okay.
I think it would be best if a continuance was granted to the applicant to
Okay.
allow him the opportunity to provide the assessor
Okay.
any information.
Okay. They're requesting data from you that they have not received. Will you be able
Well,
to?
they should have data because I actually talked to them in the previous year, last year when I appealed for the same boats.
Okay. Have you supplied new data with the new application?
I haven't supplied any new data.
Okay.
All I've seen from them is a request to postpone to today.
Okay. So they will be requesting additional data.
And the assessor would request that you work with Mr. Ascora right there to provide him the data and hopefully resolve it prior to the next scheduled hearing.
To the assessor, what data are you requesting specifically from the applicant? Does the applicant know what data you would be wanting?
We did send a letter requesting data under 441D. Mr. Ascora can provide him a copy of that.
Okay, and what
as they
date
work together.
was that?
They were sent last March.
Okay.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Members of the board, Efren Ascora with the assessor's office. We need data, and we also need to know what the issues are. Every year stands on its own. So we just need data to know what the issue is and also know the issue that this actual Mr. Maynard is also appealing.
Okay.
Okay. Do you have specifically what data you're requesting, the applicant?
It's based on the issue that Mr. Maynard has, which I don't know what the issue is.
The issue was the value that was placed on the boats.
Okay.
Okay.
Mr. Ascora, do you have a copy of the 441D letter?
Yes. I have copies of the 441D letters that were sent, so you can just have these for your records and take a look at them. And we can also discuss, here's my card, what type of data you can provide.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so we're going
To the applicant, does that make it any clearer or no?
Well, I didn't say what data they needed, but I guess I can talk to them.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Sounds like postponement might clear up some of the data, and maybe you can be in direct contact with the assessor's office to figure out what data they're asking for.
Okay.
Okay, so do we want to talk about a date to postpone this to?
The recommended date would be February 13th, 2017.
Okay, is that agreeable with you, Mr. Maynard?
Yes.
And Assessor's Office, is that okay?
Yes.
Okay, so we're looking for a motion to postpone till February 13th with the proviso that the data that they have requested gets delivered to them within 30 days.
Okay.
Are you requesting the proviso to the assessor's office? of
Well,
30
if
days?
Mr. Maynard is prepared to move forward today, then I'm presuming he has data in hand that he can provide to Mr. Ascor before he walks out of this room.
Is that acceptable to the applicant?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So is the proviso still requested?
We'll say yes. 30, just in case Mr. Ascor, after review, decides that there's something further that needs to be mined.
Sure. So to the applicant, I mean, they just want the data as quickly as possible so they can put together their case if necessary. Hopefully, you'll come to a resolution with the assessor's department before next year, so a further hearing won't be necessary.
Okay.
And what was the motion?
Motion was to postpone to February 13th with the proviso that they provide the data to the Assessor's Office within 30 days.
All right, so moved.
Second.
Thank you.
All right, to the applicant, thank you.
Okay, item 50, application 15-10805, Gerardo Villalobos.
This is a request for approval of a facsimile stipulation, as the original has not been received within the 30-day timeline. And so the request is for the board to approve the facsimile stipulation so that there's no further delay in processing the reduction to the applicant.
Okay, I'm looking for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
Please vote. Thank you.
Okay, items 51 through 53, application 15-10911 through 10913, Ojai Highlands LLC, Brandon Hansen.
Mark Mungo showing up for Brandon Hansen, asking for a continuance.
Okay, Assessor's Office?
The Assessor's Office has no problem with the board granting a continuance. Based on the notation on the agenda, the applicant didn't provide confirmation of appearance. So we wouldn't have been prepared, and to date, it doesn't look as if we've received any data. So we'd like a proviso if the board grants a continuance today.
Okay.
Just, Mr. Mungo, could you please clarify your relationship with Ojai Highlands LLC for the record?
Actually, I've got a...
Oh, you do have a letter now? Yeah. Right. All right. I'll go ahead and review that. While I'm reviewing this, can you, on the record, explain to the board your relationship with Ojai Highlands, please?
I'm working for Steve Ellery, which is, he's working for the Ojai Highlands. I'm appearing because they're both out of state.
Let's see, I'm reviewing the letter of authorization. While it does not meet 100% of the requirements to authorize an agent, I believe it's sufficient to warrant requesting a continuance. I don't know if the board or council or the assessor's office would like to review this letter before the board takes an action. Is anyone requesting a review?
I'll just take a look at it. I concur with the clerk's assessment.
So do we have
Does the assessor want to look at it?
The assessor, in situations like this, defers to the clerk of the board, county council, and the board's recommendation. We deal with the valuation issue. They're the ones that determine the validity issues.
Thank you.
Okay. And do we have a date to postpone to?
The recommended date, of course, would be February 13th,
13th again?
2017.
Okay. And then we have the same data for BSO?
Correct.
Okay.
As the representative is here, we'd like the data within 30 days from today.
Okay. So
Is the February date acceptable to the applicant for Mr. Hanson?
I believe so.
Okay.
Okay, so looking for a motion to postpone to February 13th with the proviso that all the data requested by the assessor's office is given to them within 30 days.
Okay, thank you.
Second. And again, that's April 3rd?
February 13th.
I'm sorry, February 13th?
13th, yeah.
Okay.
Please vote. All right, you're all set.
All right, thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you.
Next application, 54 through 57, application number 15-10957 through 10960, Spanish Hills Apartment LLC, Ken Veltri. Good morning.
Good morning.
Please
Jeff
state your-
Counter, Ryan LLC, agent for the applicants.
Okay. Are you prepared to move forward today?
No, for agenda items 54 through 57 and 58 through 59, we are requesting withdrawals for those. And for 60 through 62, 63 through 65, and 89 through 90, we are requesting continuance. My understanding is that my coworkers have provided the assessor's office with the information they've received, and we just want some more time to review.
Okay.
And hoping to work it out maybe before the hearing.
Okay, let's do one at a time. 54 through 57, assessor's office, are you okay with withdrawal?
Absolutely.
Okay. So looking for a motion to withdraw application 10957 through 60?
Chairman,
Oh,
Sisk,
yeah.
there doesn't need to be a
Okay,
motion. The
sorry.
agent has stated on the
Okay.
record that he's withdrawing.
Okay, then, okay. Then items 54 through 59 are withdrawn? 54, okay.
Oh, hold on, I'm not caught up with you. So that was 54 through 57.
And
Can
then
we call 58 through 59 separately, please?
Yes, sure. Okay, 54 through 57 are withdrawn. Next is 58 through 59, which is application 15-10971 and 10972. We're requesting withdrawal on that one also?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so that one's
All right, thank
done.
you.
Item 60 through 62, application 15-10981 through 10983.
That one, we are requesting a continuance.
Continuance, okay. Assessor's office?
We have no problem or no objection to the continuance being granted. Mr. Counter, based on my records and what I'm looking at here, I do not see any data having been provided for the subject property. So if the board will attach the proviso.
Okay. And do we have a date to continue to?
February 13th, 2017 is the recommended date, if that's acceptable to all the parties.
Okay, is that acceptable,
This is
Mr. Counter?
acceptable to me,
Okay.
thank you.
Looking for a motion to postpone to February 13th with the proviso that all the data is provided within 30 days of now to the assessor's office.
Second.
Okay. Next item, 63 through 65, application 15-10986 through 10988.
We are also requesting a continuance on
Okay.
those.
Assessor's office?
A continuance is fine.
Okay.
Again,
No data.
Same data, okay.
Proviso, please.
Okay. Looking for a motion to continue to February 13th with the proviso that the data requested by the assessor's office is provided to them within 30 days of today.
So moved.
Second?
And then Brandon, should we skip down to do 80 and 89, or 89, 90 real fast? Okay. And then there's, okay, no more. Yeah, okay. Application 15-11615 and 11616.
Also requesting a continuance on those,
Okay.
please.
Assessor's office?
Assessor's office has no objections to a continuance, and you're
Okay.
never going to guess what I'm going to say next. Proviso would be appreciated by the board.
Okay, yep. Looking for a motion to continue to February 13th with a proviso that the data requested by the assessor's office be provided to them within 30 days of today.
Thank you very much.
Second?
So moved. Did that in reverse.
Sorry.
So moved.
Okay. Motion by Board Member Curtis, second from Board Member Ferris. All right.
So to the applicant, you can supply the data within 30 days
Yes.
of today?
Yes, my understanding is they already have it, and they thought they had provided, maybe something happened, but
All right,
absolutely.
just making sure. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Next application, 15-11009. Michael Dugas. Is there Michael Dugas in the audience?
No one has checked in for this item this morning. There was no confirmation of appearance submitted, but we had assumed that the applicant was still going to show up. Although since there's no check-in, the recommendation is to deny due to lack of appearance.
Okay, looking for motion to deny due to lack of appearance.
So moved.
Second?
All right, please vote. Thank you.
Next item is 74. Application 15-11314. Joel and Joanna Wyman.
No one has checked in for this item.
No one's
this
checked
morning.
in.
It's represented by an agent, therefore the recommendation is to deny due to lack of appearance.
Okay, looking for a motion to deny due to lack of appearance.
So moved.
Second?
Sorry, I'm having an issue. All right, please vote. Okay.
So moved.
Next application, 15-11315. Larry Mutsu Taylor.
This is the same situation, same agent as the prior case. No one has
Okay.
checked in for this item this morning. Therefore, the recommendation is to deny due to lack of appearance.
Looking for a motion to deny.
So moved.
Second?
Please vote.
Okay, item 76, application 15-11316, PTI Technologies.
Again, no one has checked in for this item this morning. This is
Same
the
agent.
Same agent as the prior two. Recommendation is deny due to lack of appearance.
Looking for a motion to deny due to lack of appearance.
So moved.
Second?
Please vote.
Okay, items 78 through 87, application 15-11394 through 11403, Walmart Stores Incorporated.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
Mitchell Rolnich with Land Map Valuation.
Okay, are you prepared to move forward today?
I am.
Okay, how long do you think your presentation will take?
30 to 45 minutes.
Okay, assessor's office?
Good morning. I don't think I stated my name earlier. It's Brooke Hill, representing the assessor's office. We are not prepared to move forward today. As you can see on the agenda, the data was due to the assessor by 8/25 of 16. We are still looking for invoices from Walmart, and I believe it was earlier this month they indicated that they were still looking for that data. They responded a couple weeks later, very recently, that they don't think they have that data. But regardless, it wasn't provided. We didn't no, they didn't think they were going to provide it until very recently, so we are not
Okay.
prepared to move forward.
Okay.
We still do request those invoices and believe
Okay.
that they're necessary for the proper valuation of the property.
Okay. Are you able to provide those?
No, we actually have emails, granted, I think they date back a week or two now. The invoices were supplied, they're just not in the format that the assessor wants them in. And unfortunately, it's the format that Walmart has them in. Walmart doesn't have paper invoices, they don't have that type of invoice system. They have it in Excel form, and that's what was supplied to the assessor, and the assessor's not happy with that form. That's all Walmart has.
Okay. Does it have the data in it that's?
It has the data that, I don't know what data they're specifically looking for. It
Okay.
has PO numbers, it has a description, it has a value. I know it was stated that they didn't feel possibly that delivery and installation as such is in there. I do have an email from Walmart stating that, yes, that value includes all intangibles. I don't know. They're looking for something, unfortunately, Walmart does not have.
Okay. Assessor's office?
The assessor believes that it's required to have source documentation for the invoices that we've requested. They would be required to have that for income tax purposes and other accounting purposes. Typically, organizations do keep a spreadsheet of the data, but it should be backed up with source documentation. And that's what we've requested.
Okay.
I mean, I have the head of the tax department from Walmart saying this is what he has.
Okay. So.
I mean, if you want to continue it, I can bring more emails next time.
Yeah, I
but-
think we're going to have to go for continuance and try to sort this out in the meantime. Maybe it'll sort itself out before February or March. Does
I
that
think
sound
the
like it?
assessor would prefer a longer continuance.
Okay.
If possible. It is a very, very large valuation, a
Okay.
very complex property. There's multiple properties, obviously, throughout the
Okay.
county.
Okay.
Does
so-
council have any comment on this?
Just that we spent, we spent $1,500 to fly out here and be here for the hearing. Walmart has supplied everything Walmart has. I don't know what they can possibly supply 60 days from now that's different from what they have today. That's all.
Okay.
Council?
It's the board's call, what the board wants to do today in terms of granting the continuance requested by the assessor or moving forward as requested by the applicant. And
Okay, well-
it's the board's call.
Okay, the assessor's office is not prepared to move forward, so we can't really proceed that way. I think we should do a continuance and try to sort out the data discrepancy, but ask for maybe March or February, or April, I think? Is it dates later on?
Probably April would be
Okay.
preferable to the assessor.
Was that sound agreeable to the applicant?
Yeah, don't have a choice, so yes.
Okay.
Well, just for the record, so what I'm hearing, the applicant's completely ready and the assessor isn't.
Correct.
So I don't understand why we can't move ahead today. Is it just,
Well,
to the assessors, you're not ready, you're stalling, I don't understand.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Are you stalling, or you're not ready, or?
No, we're,
Do you have possibly some basis for that comment?
I'm just, from what I'm hearing from the applicant, he's ready and the assessor isn't, so.
right, and as we discussed at the.
I'm just trying to be fair between it's on record, he said he spent quite a bit of money flying out here and he's ready.
Right, I completely understand where the applicant is coming from. As we discussed at the last hearing, there was outstanding data. It was not provided to us. It wasn't even told to us that it wouldn't be provided by the date that the board gave as the final date to give us the data. We couldn't have possibly known by that 8/25 date that they refused to provide invoices. So no, we're not ready because we thought we would have everything by 8/25, and we weren't told until very recently that they don't.
So if we
have
continue
invoices.
this until February, what's going to be the difference if what he's saying, that this is the data he has and this is what he has to go with?
So we will prepare our assessment under Revenue and Taxation Code Section 501 based on the information that we have in our possession.
Okay, so if he doesn't come up with any new data, you're going to have we'll have a hearing date on the continuation date?
Right, we're required to prepare with the data in our possession under Revenue and Taxation Code 501. Based on our last hearing, we thought we would be getting some more data. We didn't. We'll go ahead and prepare a case.
So even though he supplied the data, but it's just not in the format you're wanting, is that what I'm hearing?
Right, we always request source documentation for the data.
Okay. So
And
it's,
summary spreadsheets aren't source documentation, it's merely a summary.
okay. So again, from the applicant, what I'm hearing is the data is what you have and this is what you're going with, correct?
Well, it's what Walmart has, yes. I'm an appraiser, I'm a third party. I'm just here to present my appraisal, but I'm the liaison, my company, between Walmart and the assessor, and that's what Walmart says they have. That's how they do their bookkeeping. It is what it is, unfortunately, is what we've been told. We can keep pushing them. I understand where the assessor comes from, I really do. But if that's what the client says they have, that's what they have.
Chairman Sis, can I ask a question of the assessor? If I understand it correctly, Ms. Hill, the assessor's office is looking for an audit trail behind the spreadsheet, like the supporting pieces of paper that
Exactly, the supporting
support
documentation.
the data input on the spreadsheet.
That's correct.
So,
And that's a very typical request. And if we were to audit Walmart, which they're coming up due for an audit, that's what we would need to complete that work.
I'm sorry, it is my understanding that you guys have audited Walmart in the past, and this hasn't been an issue. That could be incorrect information I was received.
It's been several years since Walmart was audited. That's a separate issue that we should probably talk about another day.
I know, it's just that you had brought it up, and they have gone through audits, and this wasn't an issue then. That was my only.
Okay, so if the applicant maybe can communicate to Walmart that they need source data, and if it's not possible, whatever data that you have can be supplied to the assessor here quickly within 30 days, and if whatever data you have, the assessor has to roll with it, so next time we'll be having a hearing, correct?
Correct.
Is that acceptable to the applicant?
Sure.
All right, so maybe if you can just get some kind of communication from Walmart that, hey, this is what we have.
I actually have that email here. That's what they have.
I
But yeah, I understand where you're
understand.
coming from.
Yeah, and I would have liked to have, heard a hearing today, but it looks like we're not going to. So, but just next time that we'll make sure that we're not postponing this, continually postponing it, just because we're not having the data in the correct format.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So-
Looking for a motion?
Do we have a date?
I believe the assessor said April 3rd would be acceptable. I don't know if
I heard that too.
Yeah, we would like at least April or beyond, yes.
Do you want to do April, or is there a date beyond April that we could, that is
we
less?
have plenty of dates. We don't want to go too far
Right.
out with it because it is a 2015 case, so.
Okay, so
it's
should we
up
just-
It's up to everybody, though, if we want to go further than that.
For us, the sooner the better to get.
Right.
We've been dealing with
So
this for.
Is April okay? April
April
3rd?
yes.
Okay. Looking for a motion to postpone till April 3rd with the proviso that some clarification on the data is provided to the assessor's office, whether it's exact data or an explanation from Walmart as to this is what it is. Okay, looking for a motion.
Second.
Please vote. And that motion passes.
Okay. Next item, number 88, application 15-11604, Louis Sartori.
This is a request for approval of a stipulation. Mr. Horn, would you like to explain why this is on the board's agenda?
Assessor's office.
Lois is still.
Sorry. You want to go?
Yes, the assessor, as an act of transparency, requested that this be put on the agenda separately because the applicant used to work in the assessor's office. Granted, of course, it's been 10 years since she's been there, but we just, again, decided to be transparent about it.
Okay.
So it is a stipulation in the board's materials that was circulated by email on Friday. So the board has had a chance to review that.
Okay, I did review that, yeah. Any questions or comments from the board?
I've reviewed the stipulation and approved them as stated.
Okay, so looking for motion to
approve.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
Please vote. Thank you.
Okay, next item, 92, application 15-11625, Southern California NV LLC, Grant Shara.
No one has checked in for this item this morning. They told me they would be here, but it's been an hour, so the clerk of the board would recommend denial due to lack of appearance.
All right, looking for motion to deny due to lack of appearance.
Second.
One more vote. That passes.
Okay. Last item, 94 through 96, application 15-11778 through 11780, VTR Grant Oaks LP, Brian Wood.
This is a request for approval of large value stipulations agreements. These were emailed to the board on Friday, along with a over 400-page appraisal to support the evaluation. I do have one hard copy printed out here if anybody would like to review it, which will be put into the official record. And it is on the board's agenda because the reduction is over $5 million, so that the board can ask questions of the assessor if they have any.
Anyone have questions of the assessor's office on this one? I don't either. I'm looking for motion to approve.
Second.
All right, please vote. That passes. All right, so that takes us, now we have a bunch represented by Agent Protex LLC. We have 10 cases.
Which one?
Starting with item 10.
10, okay. Application 15-10021, Larry Molly Franklin Trust.
Good morning, members of the board. Tony Whitmarsh, agent for the applicant.
Good morning.
Can you state your case? Are you prepared to move forward today?
So we're on item number 10, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So we're requesting a continuance on these items. And just for brevity, all the items that we have remaining today, we're asking for continuance. There's 10 items that we have open. 7 of those items, we're still obtaining information. We've obtained partial information on some of them, have provided it to the assessor. And the assessor on other items, we don't have all the information yet. And on 3 of the items, we've provided our case in chief to the assessor as well for their review today. So even though we're prepared to move forward on those 3 items, we want to give the assessor some time to review the case, and we've already spoken with the deputy assessor regarding that. So just for brevity, the following cases I'm going to be asking for continuance on for various reasons.
Okay. We're going to have to kind of go one at a time, but okay. Assessor's office?
The assessor has no objection to continuance being granted for any of these cases.
Okay.
Mr. Whitmarsh is very good about getting the data to us.
Okay.
We're going to do on the 7 cases that the data is still lingering, we ask the board to add the proviso.
Okay.
And all I ask is, since I haven't seen which cases, the 3 that you provided, if you would point those out along the journey.
Oh, well.
Yeah, we're going to have to go one at a time here.
And February?
To the call of the clerk.
Yeah. This agent, they unfortunately have lots of cases on file with their office, so every single hearing date for the rest of the year, they have cases scheduled. So any works. February 13th is completely, February 13th would be the recommended date, just so we keep them getting cleared off. But if someone wants a different date, I'm open to suggesting other dates.
I have no objection.
Okay. So for this particular application, assessor's office, is there data required? 10021, it would be item 10.
Was this one the ones that you provided this is the Larry and?
Right. On this particular property, it's, this particular property is owner-user, and so what we're doing is actually preparing a case, and we thought we were going to get income information from them, but it's not relevant. So what we're going to do is provide market data to the assessor's office on this property.
Okay. So we do need to provide data on this one. Okay. And there's no objection to moving it to February 13th? Is that correct? Okay. So looking for a motion to move this to February 13th with the proviso that the data be supplied to the assessor's office within 30 days.
Of today. Second.
Application 15-10185. That's Newberry Park Property LLC.
So on this property, it's kind of a unique property. It's a industrial building that's been converted to a gymnastics center, and we haven't been able to find comparables that kind of match this up. So we're going to have to go back and work with the assessor to find out a suitable type of property for both of us to compare it to.
Okay.
And it's also owner-user property, but there is a pocket-to-pocket lease in place.
Okay. So there is additional data, but not so much that you can provide, that you both have to.
We just have to,
locate.
when we value the property, it's best that we value it the same way.
Absolutely. Okay. So we're looking to move this one to February 13th without a data proviso, correct? Are we?
No.
No?
No, we're going to need,
Right.
we're going to need an agreement on this one, February 13th,
Okay.
but we're going to need at least some idea of the direction the.
Right, yeah, it just says that we can compare market leases that are the
Okay.
same. So I think we're just going to I'll have to make an agreement with the assessor's office how we're going to move forward.
Okay. So we're looking for a motion to postpone to February 13th with the proviso that there's some data exchange or conversation about the data or leases or comps or whatever you guys need to sort out.
So moved.
Second.
All right, item 19, application 15-10189, TNK Ish Drive LLC.
So we're also requesting a continuance on this property. It is not owner-user, it's tenant-occupied, it's a high vacancy building. We don't have complete information for the year-end 2014. We do have 2013 and the 2014 rent rolls, and we provided that to the assessor's office last year. But we don't have all the current information from the owners so that we can move forward with valuation to see if they've resolved their high vacancy issues.
Okay. Assessor's office?
The assessor's office has no problem with the continuance data within 30 days, please.
Okay, any comments from the board? Okay, looking for a motion to postpone to February 13th with the proviso that within 30 days the data be provided to the assessor's office.
So moved.
Second.
All right, next item 21, application 15-10199, Double High Financial First American Plaza 36.
Mr. Chairman, this is one of the cases that we provided to the assessor's office today.
Okay.
And we've also provided the income information as well.
Okay.
So we expect to hear shortly from them in the near future as to see if they need any further information.
Okay. Assessor's office?
Mr. Whitmarsh is correct. We received the information this morning, and we will review it and get back in touch with him and see if there's anything else outstanding that needs to be.
Okay. So we're going to postpone this till probably the
February 14th, or 13th, sorry.
Okay. And any data proviso on this?
I don't think we need one. Mr. Whitmarsh is provided.
We provided our data in
Yeah.
the case in chief, and then it's up to the assessor to determine, deputy assessor to determine at this point if there's any missing information.
Okay. Okay, so looking for a motion to postpone to February 13th.
So moved.
Second?
Item 22, application 15-10212, A. Ross McCancy Trust.
So on this property, this is the La Petite Academy in Simi Valley. They have a long-term lease. We provided the income data for that property. One of the things we're trying to obtain, they had a appraisal done on the property as well. We're trying to obtain a copy of that appraisal to provide the assessor's office. It's obviously all in support of a reduction for that property. There's not a lot of these types of daycare centers that have sold in the area, so it's kind of difficult to determine the value. So we provided that information to the assessor. The income, we're just waiting on the appraisal.
Okay. Assessor's office?
Yes, the appraisal may shed greater light on this property, so proviso would be wonderful, and I know Mr. Whitmarsh will continue to try to obtain it, to share it with us.
Okay.
February 13th.
Okay. Any objection to the 13th? Probably not. All right. I'm looking for a motion to postpone to February 13th with the proviso that the data be provided to the assessor's office within 30 days of today.
So moved.
Second?
Okay. Item 24, application 15-10237, Felfam LP3.
So this particular property, we provided the income information October 1st, and I think the deputy assessor still needs time to review it.
Okay.
And so do we. We recently got it, so
Okay.
within the last 3 weeks.
Okay. Assessor's office?
That's correct. I have a notation that there may be additional information that we're looking for. Not having that file in front of me, I can't speak with authority on it, but I know a continuance is needed.
Okay.
And we'll review it and contact Mr. Whitmarsh
Okay.
quickly about any additional information
Okay.
within 30 days.
Okay, so we don't need a data proviso in this one?
Yeah, no, let's go ahead and do it.
Let's do it, okay. Looking for a motion to postpone to February 13th with a proviso that the data requested by the assessor's office be provided to them within 30 days of today.
So moved.
Second?
Okay, item 25, application 15-10238, Siu Lo Wong Yuet Trust.
So we're also requesting a continuance on this property. We provided the income information October 1st. There's existing Prop 8s on this property already. So I think once we get down into analyzing the data, we should be able to work something out.
Okay, assessor's office.
The assessor's office agrees with Mr. Whitmarsh. A continuance should be granted to the agent February 13th. Again, I have a notation that there may still be some data hanging out there.
Okay. Okay. I'm looking for a motion to postpone till February 13th with the proviso that the data be provided to the assessor's office within 30 days of today.
So moved.
Second.
So on the next property here, 5920 Melrose Avenue, that's the applicant's name. The property is actually on Johnson Drive. We also provided the income and expense information at the beginning of the beginning of the month. We also have another request from the assessor on this particular property. They want to do a site visit. The owner's representative was in Europe, and I just got a call this morning that they're back in the United States, and so we should be able to coordinate the situs sometime soon. Now that the representative is back in the United States on the West Coast.
Okay, and for the record, this is application 15-10301. The assessor's office, what do you have to say?
Yes, a continuance needs to be allowed. There is a site check that needs to be done. I believe if the board grants the continuance, 30 days will be sufficient to be able to get the site check done and follow up with any other requests for data as well. So February 13th.
Okay, any questions, comments from the board? No. Okay, looking for a motion to postpone to February 13th with the proviso that the data be provided to the county assessor's office within 30 days of today.
So moved.
Second.
Chairman Siska, I have a question for the clerk. The screen was showing item 25, but they were voting on item 27.
You're stuck.
It's, yeah.
Same vote, though.
Looks like it. Yes, so that was item number 27. We had a motion to continue by Board Member Ferris and second by Board Member Curtis with a 3-0 vote to approve that motion.
Okay, and then next, are we ready to move on?
Yes. Now
Okay,
sorry.
item 30, application 15-10406, MD Camarillo.
So, members of the board, this is one of the cases that we provided this morning to the assessor's office for review. And we're just asking a continuance to give time for both of us to discuss the analysis.
Okay. Assessor's office?
Mr. Whitmarsh did provide us information this morning, so a continuance should be granted, and February 13th.
Okay.
I believe that this looks to have everything that Mr. Whitmarsh is going to avail himself of, and so I don't think a proviso is required.
Okay. Looking for a motion to postpone to February 13th.
So moved.
Second.
One more vote. Thank you.
Okay, item 31, application 15-10411, Entertainment Earth Holdings.
So, Mr. Chairman, this is another property we provided a case for today to the assessor's office, and we're requesting continuance so that we can discuss the analysis.
Okay. Assessor's office?
February 13th, Mr. Whitmarsh did provide data this morning. Again, this looks to be his the data that he's able to provide, so no provisos needed.
Okay. Any comments from the board? All right, looking for a postponement to February 13th.
So moved.
Second.
please vote. Thank you. That does complete the regular agenda. I would recommend we go to item number 97 to discuss the stipulations, if that's okay with the board.
Thank you. Okay.
Okay, looking for motion to agree on the stipulations that were sent out,
Email?
through email.
So moved.
Second.
And please vote. Okay, stipulations have been approved. We have one hearing left, items 11 through 13. I recommend a 5 to 10 minute recess before we get into that, if that's all right with the board.
Sounds good with me.
So approved.
I second.
All right, so we'll
All right. Good morning. We are going to hear the one and only case we have today. It's 11 through 13, applications 15-10040, 10291, and 16-10371.
Vice Chair Sis, before we get started, I'd like to ask a few questions to clarify the parties what we're going to do, if that's all right with you.
Okay, go ahead. Please proceed.
We have 3 applications here. I'll start with the assessor. Do you plan to do 3 separate presentations or one encompassing everything?
All encompassing.
Okay, and to the applicant's side, one presentation encompassing everything, all 3 cases? Okay.
They'll be in sequence.
Okay, and just to clarify, I know there's several issues. The first issue is whether the property is in general accessible in Ventura County. Is that the assessor's understanding of the first issue?
Yes, because that decision pretty much dictates the valuation. If the board decides in the applicant's favor, then the valuation issue vanishes.
Okay, so items 2 and 3 could disappear if item 1 comes out one way or the other?
A little bit. There's 3. I can explain it. Each application represents an assessment year. Each application has 2 issues essentially. I want to verify this with the applicant as well. The first issue is whether or not it can be taxed in Ventura County. If it can be taxed in Ventura County, then the board has to value it. If it can't be taxed in Ventura County, well, then because it can't be taxed here, the value is 0. So that would, lead to the second thing. Of course, each application. Did I explain that properly?
Yes, and the only deviation is the first application, which has a penalty assessment attached to it as well.
Okay. And do you plan to address the issues as I've explained?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so what I'll do before we get started is I'll hand out copies of all the applications to the board members real quickly.
I would appreciate if the clerk could also clarify whether or not findings of fact are requested on any of the...
Yes, the applicant has requested and paid for the findings of fact. I'm assuming since it's one presentation, it would apply to all applications. So the payment has been received, and I will try to issue a receipt for payment before the end of the hearing.
So to the assessor, the burden of proof is on the applicant?
Yes.
So are we first, as I'm hearing it, we're just first dealing with the issue if this should be taxable in Ventura County?
Yes, but I believe the applicant, and I don't want to speak for council, that if they're doing one presentation, they're going to address the situs issue and then also make an argument regarding the values.
But the situs issue is the the first.
Correct.
Issue.
And the board could very well, based on evidence, say, yes, for 2011, no for 2015, no for 2016, yes for 2011 and 15, no for 16, no for all of them, yes
No.
for all of them, or any combination thereof.
As far as the situs issue?
Regarding the situs issue.
Got it. All right, thank you.
That's correct. So, no matter how we do it, it's not going to be simple, but we'll try and make it simple.
Okay.
Okay. Very nice. So if the burden is on the applicant, then the applicant goes first.
The applicant will go first, and they'll also have final closing.
Okay.
And of course, the board has the option to request an overview from either party first if they wish to. Typically, we ask the assessor for an overview, but if it's not necessary, you can go right into the applicant's presentation. That's completely at the pleasure of the board, what they want to do.
So we get an overview, or do we? I've got a picture. Sure. I'd mind an overview. Would you give us an overview of kind of what you have going on?
I'd love to. The County of Ventura in, I believe it was either late 2014 or 2015, issued an assessment on a vessel that's owned by GB Kodiak LLC, which is an Oregon limited liability company, and the Petersons, Carol and Ron Peterson, are the members of that limited liability company. So in either 2014 or 2015, they received an assessment notice for 2011. So it was going back approximately 4 years, and it including penalties and interest and what have you. Based on that, my client filed an appeal for two reasons. Number one, that the valuation that was placed on the vessel nowhere resembled the purchase price, and it was purchased new. Secondly, the fact that it was taxed in Ventura County is challenged because the vessel was acquired in 2008. It was acquired by virtue of an offshore delivery. It was granted outside of California use clearance by the State Board of Equalization. And for the most part, with the exception of 2011, which we'll explain further, the vessel, for the most part, about 73% of its time, has been outside of California. Its principal habitat under a TIP, or temporary import permit, is Ensenada, Mexico. The Petersons are retired, so they're extensive cruisers. They spend a substantial portion of their life on the boat. They have traveled to many ports, as you will hear, in Mexico, and then they travel north to go to Oregon, Washington, British Columbia, and Alaska. I believe the boat right now is in Washington. So on the basis that it has outside of California exemption status when it was acquired, it's their position that they have done nothing to render Ventura, now in 2011, to be a taxing authority for that vessel. Moving on to 2015, they also received an assessment for 2015. They are challenging the valuation because the valuation for 2015 was just based on a progression of reductions in value based on what we consider to be an incorrect value in 2011. So it was just an extrapolation from 2011 to 2015. Secondly, again, we challenged the taxable situs in Ventura County for 2015. That was an unusual year because the boat actually stayed in Mexico from late 2014 into early 2016. So it did not even make a trip up the coast. It spent the entire year in Mexico. And then we just received an assessment for 2016. So it was recommended that they pay the tax and appeal that as well. So we wound up getting it on this calendar. But again, the valuation is based on an extrapolation from 2015 following back to 2011. And again, it's our position that Ventura has not acquired this as a taxable situs for that vessel or for the company that owns it. We're also coincidentally interested in a valuation of the vessel regardless, because the Petersons, although they're cruising now, at some point may decide to either bring the boat on a permanent basis to Ventura, or they may take it to Washington on a permanent basis. That decision hasn't been made. Obviously, based on aging, it's health considerations, travel interest, and what have you. But the valuation is important from that standpoint as well.
On Paul's comment of when I was able to find the 2011 tax bill, and that was billed 9/28/15, so about a year ago.
So that
received the 11 bill.
So that 2011 valuation has a series of, assessments and penalties, and we have on a finding basis, not necessarily what we believe the outcome should be. A request for a finding of an abatement on the penalty and interest based on circumstances which will be described as well.
Is that overview acceptable to the assessor?
Yes.
Okay. And did the applicant have any evidence he wanted to present?
Yes.
They do, the clerk, based on his presentation, I'd like to make a quick comment if I could.
Sure.
They mentioned they wanted a valuation in the event they bring the boat permanent situs to Ventura County. Just in case it saves anybody time, I would clarify that the assessments, specifically those considered by the board, only apply into the year in which the application was filed. Therefore, we have applications for 2011, 2015, and 2016. Valuation would apply to those years only and not apply to any other year. So, for example, the boat came into the county in 2017. Any decision by the board today would not carry over to those years. It would be valued independently in those years. So I don't know if that would save the applicant's side any time.
I tried.
Just want to clarify that.
I tried.
And I just had one question. Mr. Konopleski, did you agree to the oath during our swearing in? I did not see you raise your arm.
I actually did not, because I don't think of myself as giving testimony, but I'm happy to.
Sure, let's go ahead and do that.
It's the custom of this board to swear in
Okay.
all the agents, all the reps, regardless of whether they're counsel or
Attorneys
non-counsel.
included.
I apologize.
So you'll stand real quickly. Just place you under oath. Please raise your arm. You solemnly affirm that the testimony you're about to give in the matters now pending before this board will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Thank you. The applicant has submitted an exhibit with tabs numbered 1 through 5, so we'll call each of those an exhibit. So I will now hand out applicant's exhibit 1 through 5.
I would also ask that the 5-page summary in front of the exhibits be presented as an exhibit as well.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For the record, the summary, which is 5 pages before tab number 1 under table of content, contains a summary of some of the information that you'll receive. It has some citations from the assessor's handbook. It also has one legal citation on a case holding regarding situs. Exhibit number 1 is actually a recant of the document that were presented in the 2011 Peel packet to the assessor's office.
Exhibit number 2 is an email from Mr. Azakura on September 13th when we were discussing valuation of the vessel prior to my request if an abatement would apply. He indicated that he could not make that determination, so that would be something that would be subject to the board. Exhibit number 3 is the appellate document that was filed for the 2015 appeal, so the attachments within there may be redundant to some of the documents in Exhibit 1 because they requested, basic information again, such as, fuel bills, rental bills, and we also, I believe, included the TIP, which is the Mexican temporary tenure permit. Exhibit number 4, at one point, Mr. Peterson presented a copy of the ship's log that was copied. So exhibit number 4 is excerpts of the ship's log for 2011 and 2015 that was independently presented from the first appeal packets. And then exhibit number 5 is the 2016 appeal with the attachments that were submitted with that appeal as well. So out of an abundance of caution, rather than redundancy, those are included in these exhibits. To the clerk, are we calling the summary exhibit number 6?
We can just call it the,
Or 0?
Okay, if the clerk wants to do that.
All right, so I'll mark the summary exhibit 6.
Yep.
So in my discussion, I can refer to it as exhibit 6. So you can go ahead when you're ready. Thank you. Mr. Peterson, what is your relationship to the Kodiak LLC, GB Kodiak LLC?
I'm one of the 4 member partners of that.
Are you also the manager?
Yes, I'm the managing partner of a 4-member partnership in the LLC, which is owned by the Family Trust.
All right, and could you describe the vessel that is owned by this LLC?
Well, it was purchased new, as Paul said, in 08. It's a 65-foot long, 20-foot wide ocean-going vessel that will essentially go over any ocean. 2,400 gallons of fuel, 500 gallons of water, water makers, full living quarters, heating, air conditioning, generator systems, reverse osmosis systems, sewage treatment systems. So it's a home on the water, and that's pretty much the way we use it.
And what year was that purchased?
2008. We did the deal on it, and we built it new. It was built in Singapore. We built it new. The deal was done in late 06, 07, unfortunately for us, right at the crash of the market. The boat market probably suffered as much or more than the housing market did as far as valuation, but in any case, it was delivered Long Beach, California, June of 08, went through a 2-month commissioning. There was an issue with the Caterpillar engines that had to be redone, so the commissioning lasted 3 months where it should have been maybe 1 month, all paid for by Caterpillar. We took delivery in official delivery, I believe, was August of 2008.
All right, now, in exhibit number 1, your 2011 appeal package, up in the top right-hand corner, there's a number 13 circled on that document. Is this the 2-page number 13 and 14, the 2-page invoice for your purchase of the vehicle?
That is correct.
Or vessel?
Yes.
All right, and for the record, how much was that purchase price?
2672868.
Okay, so that's $2,672,868.
Correct.
All right. And how did you take delivery of that vessel?
we did what's called an offshore delivery with our intention. We purchased the vessel with the intention of non-use state of California because we plan to use it in Mexico as our home base, travel the coast as we've done for 8 years. We took delivery into the LLC. It's important to the family that boat be in an LLC because it's in hazardous condition quite often. We have many, many non-family members on the boat each year, way down into Mexico, way up into Alaska, and it's important to me to protect the rest of the assets of the family trust from any issues that resolve around that, what I consider to be a little higher risk thing. So we took delivery of that offshore in 2008, August, and we applied for a sales tax exemption from the Board of Equalization for non-use in California, which we were granted.
All right, and is that the document that's in Exhibit 1 with number 10 in a circle at the top?
Yes, that is correct.
All right, and then can you look at Exhibit 1, number 11, with the circle on it, and tell us what that document is?
Yeah, that's a copy of an import permit. As it turns out, as a non-Mexican citizen, you cannot register a vessel or a vehicle in the country of Mexico. So to use it there and to store it there and to import it there, you have to have an import permit. The import permit is, in a sense, a tax that Mexico assesses, and it's a 10-year with renewable 10-year. The current one expires in October of 2018.
All right, so number 11 in Exhibit 1 is a copy of that tip, if you would, the temporary import permit.
That's correct.
Okay. Now, if you turn to Exhibit 1, number 6, is this a copy of the certificate of documentation on the vessel?
Yes, it is. Coast Guard documentation. These are renewable each year, and so you have to take an action with the Coast Guard to have these renewed. And this is a copy of that. This is an older copy, as you can see, but each year you get a new one.
But this was submitted with your 2011 packet in 2015. So that,
yes, that is correct.
Okay. And the name of the vessel?
Kodiak.
And the owners of record?
GB Kodiak, LLC.
And then where is that LLC located?
That's headquartered out of Salem, Oregon.
All right. And does this represent a copy of the certificate of documentation at the time that the appeal was filed?
Yes, it does.
All right. Now, you listed a list of things that were itemized on the boat. Do you and your wife run this vessel yourself?
Yes.
And do you hold any type of licenses relative to maritime navigation?
I do. I have a current Coast Guard Master Mariner license, all oceans, 100-ton. I also have with it the new TSA endorsement that comes along with it. So there's really two parts to the new Mariner license nowadays, the Coast Guard portion and the TSA portion. I hold both of those and they are current.
All right. Now, for purposes of the board review, the items that are marked in Exhibit 1, are these in response or attached to your appeal for the period of 2011?
Yes, they are.
All right. And in the beginning of 2011, did the vessel have or come to rest in Ventura, California for any period of time?
Yes, it did in 11, and I don't have the log in front of me. That full log, by the way, the assessor's office asked asked, and I answered mid-August of 2015 with the log going back to its original birth. So I presented them at that time the entire logbook from August of '08 until, at that time, I think the last entry in there was July of 2015. So the assessor's office has all of that.
All right. Was there any type of family medical emergency that caused you to stop in California?
Yeah, in late.
Yes or no?
Yes, yes.
All right. And where were you coming from and where were you headed at the time?
We were coming from north. That year we were coming from Alaska. We'd been up to Glacier Bay, Alaska, and we were en route to Mexico.
All right. And what happened and approximately when? And I have a summary. There's a summary of information you presented to me on the third page of our summary under the heading of Appeal 2011 Taxable Situs. But can you, for the board, give us a brief summary of what the medical condition was or the medical emergency and what was the outcropping of that?
We had, my wife Carol, one of the members of the LLC, had been dealing with diverticulitis for quite some time. We had moved here from Newport Beach in 2003. She had been treated, or we bought the Oxnard house in 2003, and she had been treated for diverticulitis at Hoag Medical in Newport Beach. It kept flaring up, and finally, after about the fourth stint of a serious infection in late December of 2010, en route to Mexico, she becomes so ill that we didn't dare continue. So we come into Oxnard and nursed this problem, knowing that it was a diverticulitis, but she had recovered in the past on antibiotics. It wasn't responding this time. So mid-January, we met with our family doc in the area, Dr. Linda Lundeen at Rose Avenue Medical Center. And Dr. Lundeen said, this is the fourth or fifth flare-up. We need to have surgery on this thing, or you're going to have some real trouble intestinally. So I think it was the 28th of January of 2011, she had surgery at Santa Paula Medical Hospital with Dr. Isaac Lowe. All went well. They removed 16 inches or so of intestines. Everything come out fine. And everything was good until about the first week in March. So about a month later, on a Sunday morning, terrible, terrible stomach, and we went into Ventura Medical emergency room, and we spent the day there. They administered an antibiotic again, and we went home. She started feeling a little bit better, still not very right. On about April 2nd, 3rd, somewhere around there, back into the emergency room. This time we knew it was more serious. We went to St. John's because we thought a hospital admission probably was going to end up, which it was. We went in there, and she was there for 16 days in intensive care isolation, and she ended up with C. diff infection. And we finally had to get a communicable disease doc from Johns Hopkins to finally diagnose that after 3 or 4 days. They got her on vancomycin, and that was able to finally, after about the 5th or 6th day in the hospital, stop the spread of the infection. And she was released 16 days later, saying that you really, really need to stay close by medical care and really do nothing for 90 days, maybe 6 months even. That all went quite well, and so around that fall, I guess October, November, we decided I think we can continue the Mexico trip. So that was the stay, the unplanned stay, if you will, in 2011 in Ventura.
Now, at the time that you went through this medical situation and had the boat here, was it your intent to change your permanent situs of the vessel?
No, it never has been.
And was the fact that it was physically in Ventura in any way based on other than your medical situation?
No.
What was your plan had you not had this medical emergency?
Well, as we've done in other years, on the stopover, we make the trip north and south twice a year typically, and there's always maintenance issues, whether you're going north or whether you're going south. So normally we're here a month or thereabouts with maintenance issues and provisioning and so forth. So in this particular case, you like to be in Mexico in the wintertime, so we probably would have been out of here, barring that medical condition, mid-January, I would guess. And then we would have come back, done the Mexico or the Alaska thing as we'd done each year prior.
So based on the medical situation, you didn't leave for Mexico until October?
Right.
Okay.
That was essentially 6 months after she was released on the on the C. diff issue. We finally got a clearance from the attending physician that she would be okay. However, they said, be sure you take a 2-week supply of vancomycin with you, which was about $1,000 worth of 2-week supply, by the way. So that was kind of the insurance, I guess, that we bought. And she was feeling fine, and we operate the boat ourselves, so it's important that we're both able to do that.
Thank you. Now, if you look at Exhibit 6, the summary, the second page, there is, it's actually showing year percentage depreciation and value, and that chart is going from 2008 through 2016. Do you see that?
Yes.
All right, and the first number under value under 2008 is $2,672.86. Is that the purchase price for the vessel when you purchased it in 2008?
That is correct.
All right, now there is a percentage depreciation number, both on percentage and a physical number of depreciation. Did you obtain these percentages for use for valuation?
I did. These were obtained from the assessor's office. I believe it's trend factor code T. I received all of these with the exception of 2016, and I think we extrapolated that, but the 2009 through 2015 were provided by the assessor's office.
All right, and so under the heading of 2011, based on this extrapolation, is it your belief that the value of the vessel, give or take, on paper was $1,715,264.92?
Yes.
For ease of this conversation, even though we're going to go every year since we're on this page, if I may finish. If there's no objection, and then by virtue of extrapolation, you believe the valuation in 2015 was $1,266,197.05?
Yes.
And in 2016, $1,152,239.32.
That is correct.
Okay. All right, now I'm going to go on to exhibit number 3. Which is your appeal application for the assessment for 2015. Did you prepare this application?
Yes.
And under property address, you show Ensenada, Mexico.
Yes.
Is that consistent with your prior application?
Yes, it is.
And was that the location of the vessel?
Yes.
Can you give us a brief summary based on the attachments under exhibit number 3, which appear to be fuel bills, slips, and what have you, how you used the boat in 2015?
Well, the boat, as the assessor has in the log, the boat went to Mexico, and I don't have the log before me, but the boat went to Mexico in about November of 2014. And went to Ensenada, and we were there a while, and then we went on to Mexico farther down, went down as far as Barra Navidad, I believe. And it was there the entire year of 2015. We lived on the boat most of the time. It was there from November, I believe, of 14 through all of 15, and 16 recent up until March, I think it was. And we essentially we made some trips home. We had to come home and deal with tax issues, for one thing. But we had to come home and do mail, which we will often do. So we will fly home for a week or 2 or 3 sometimes. Sometimes to see grandkids, to go to grandkids' birthdays and thereabouts. But most of the time is spent on the boat. During that year, 80-90% of the time was on the boat.
Now, do you also have properties on the West Coast other than in Ventura?
We do.
Where are those?
We have a home in Long Beach, and we have a home in Kennewick, Washington, known as Tri-Cities, Pasco, Richland, Kennewick, Washington.
And is that one of your stopovers in your travels?
Yes.
To the north?
It's up the Columbia River. We have a slip up there that we rent as well.
And do you have any family in either of those areas?
We do. We have family in both places. That's why we have the 2 houses there.
All right. Now, the attachments that are in Exhibit 3, do those represent the information that was requested by the assessor, including the tip, the import permit, and receipts for things like fuel repairs, marinas, and what have you?
Yes, in their request, they asked for, you can see on page 3 of that.
That's page 3 in Exhibit 3?
Yeah, page 3 in Exhibit 3. That was asked on December 15th, and that was received at the Salem, Oregon address. They emailed me and said, this is a request. We were in Mexico. I called Araceli Bayakaushev on probably around the 20th or thereabouts and said, we're in Mexico. I'll be pleased to submit this. I'd like to do it in person, but I won't be home until the 1st of February. Would that be okay? She said it was, so thereby I presented in person on February 1st this data.
Thank you. Now, I'd like you to turn to exhibit number 5. Now, did you receive an assessment from Ventura County for 2016?
I did.
And is this the appeal that you filed for the assessment for 2016?
Yes, it is.
All right. And again, in that appeal, you're challenging both the taxable situs for the vessel and the value of the vessel.
That's correct.
All right. Now, can you briefly describe the travels of the boat up until the time you filed this appeal and what the attachments represent?
Well, this was filed on the 22nd, I guess, of August of this year. The boat returned from Mexico. We had several mechanical issues with it, and we returned from Mexico on about around the 1st of March. And the boat was here until about mid-May, and I had several $1,000s worth of hydraulics work, remote control work, bottom work, sacrificial zinc work, and so forth. And we departed here around the middle of May, and the boat has been in Oregon, Washington, British Columbia since then.
All right, and in Exhibit 6, on page 4, under Appeal 2016, is that basically a summary of the work that was done on the vessel that you just testified to while en route to Oregon?
Yes, that is correct.
All right, I believe that concludes my presentation.
Any questions from the board?
was testimony regarding the applicant's wife being very ill and, hospitalization, and that there was no intent to have the situs of the boat be where the medical care was being given. Is there a code section or a property tax rule section that you think has some bearing on, exigent circumstances, not determining the situs of the vessel?
Well, if you look at the handbook, and you can look to my summary because I have specific references in the handbook, but what they refer to is what is permanent versus temporary situs, number one, and number two is where is the normal, where is the vessel normally located? And they're saying, the question is it normally in one particular location, or is it in transit? And it's our position that the fact that it was here was purely based on the medical circumstance, and we consider the vessel to have been in transit. Now, there's no limit in the code on how long in transit is, and that's why, after discussing it with Mr. Peterson, I said, well, you've been gone. Why were you here? And once he explained the situation, then it makes sense. But I don't believe the code says that, if you're in transit, that then transfers the situs for tax purposes. I could see if, at that point, they weren't concerned about moving the boat. They were concerned about her health, and I suppose if back in 2011, they thought, if you leave the boat here while your wife's getting treated, you're going to get a $50,000 bill for tax based on an erroneous valuation plus penalties plus interest. At that point, you'd hire a captain and have them take the boat down to Mexico, rather than subject yourself to it if that was not your intent. And in this circumstance, it was certainly not their intent. And, we didn't find out till 4 years later that they were even going to try and assess or attempt an assessment for 2011. Where's the home base of the boat? Is there a home base?
Well, the home base is Ensenada, Mexico, as we see it.
As you see it, okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as far as do you own a residence in Ensenada?
We do not, no.
Okay. And so you own a number of homes in the United States, correct?
3.
All right. Where's your primary residence in the United States?
Well, I guess I would have to say that our primary residence is the boat. Of the 3 houses, we spend most time on the boat, probably over 6 months a year.
For your IRS tax purposes, what would be your primary
Well, for my IRS taxes, it's Oxnard, but I've got a very good explanation for that as well, if I could say. I retired from Fluor Corporation as an senior executive in 2003, and the last 10 years of my employment with Fluor in Irvine, I put all my earnings, all my salary, bonuses, stock options, and everything into a deferred compensation account. Upon retirement in July 1st of 2003, I had to make a decision of how to withdraw that money and pay taxes on it. So the choices that you had on the trust that I had, which was called a Rabbi Trust, I could take it out as a lump sum and be taxed on the entire thing in 2003, or I could spread it out up to 20 years, which is what I chose to do. So in another 6 years from now, I will receive the last of that compensation and have paid tax on it. Had I left California, I would still be taxed on all that income in the state of California because it was earned here. And I thought that's probably a just and fair thing. However, had I moved, which we had contemplated, then I'd be paying taxes there as well. So I kind of felt locked into California until when I'm 70, I'll be 78 when the last payment comes due, and that'll probably be the end of our California residence. So that's why we have our IRS address here, and that's probably the only reason.
Okay, and you stated that the residence in California is in Oxnard or Ventura?
Oxnard.
Oxnard, okay.
Now, go ahead.
I have a question, just out of curiosity. How does the tax assessor know when you come in, when you come out? I mean, is there something that's reported? How
I don't know.
did they even get the information?
I don't
I'm just
know.
curious.
Does the assessor have any questions to the audience?
Yes, we were going to include that in our presentation, but I can certainly explain. We have a marine and aircraft division in the assessor's office, which is separate from the appeals section. Okay, so they have their own appraiser, their own supervisor management, and they are required to do some what they call the tour of the docks in the county of Ventura. They just do, just like we send canvassers every year to the businesses in each city. Okay, that's how we find businesses, or they find businesses in the cities. The marine appraiser also goes to the docks, and they go, I believe, I forgot if it's with the harbor patrol, I think, and they go along all the decks, all the docks in the area, in the county of Ventura.
So it's kind of random?
Well, they go through all the docks, all the residences, the marinas. So that's how they found about Mr. Peterson's yacht back according to my notes, was in the 2013 dock walk. That's what they call it, dock walk. You know.
So you have assessor police?
Well, no, they go to the
yes,
harbor
they
patrol,
do.
but no, we're just required, you know, like a lot of times the board will ask, have you seen the property? You know, and I think that's a fair question. And I believe that if we have a marine appraiser, they can probably tell you, yes, we saw the property. And just like you know, not only with yachts, but also with businesses, you know, commercial buildings, you know.
Sure.
That's like, we have to answer that
It's
question.
hard to miss a 65-foot boat.
No, if I can also supplement that, generally what happens is the assessor, if it's a public marina, you know, or a private marina where there are multiple boats, they'll just go to the marina operator, and the marina operator will give them a list of everyone that's in the marina.
Yeah.
You know, so that's easy. The unfortunate part, and it's been my experience with boats, is you have a combination of events. They may take a random tour of the harbor, look at the boats at the houses, and then see if they can match the two up. And then secondarily, you have the real mess where someone's renting someone else's dock, and you know, sometimes the assessment will go to the people that own the house, sometimes it'll go to the people that own the boat, and then the burden is on you to show that, you know, it was there for the weekend, it was there for whatever, you know, it just creates issues.
Interesting, okay.
Yes, if I may add, again, Efren Ascora with the Assessor's Office. All taxpayers for business and personal property, vessels, aircraft, are required to file a form early. If we mail them a form at the beginning of the year, and they're required to file. Sometimes in April 1st, sometimes it's at the beginning of the year, but they are required to. When the property is above $100,000, okay, then we don't need to send them a form. We will as a courtesy, but they are also required to file a form with the assessor's office, a vessel property statement, an aircraft property statement, a business property statement. So that's not just the personal property or the marine and aircraft division. It's also like in the residential and commercial and industrial. And we're always sending forms that they're required to file timely. Okay, and
I had a quick question. You said that your primary residence is in Mexico, but is the boat registered? Don't all boats need to be registered in like one city
No,
or
you
state?
can register a boat in one of two ways. You can register it by a state, or you can register it on a national documentation basis with the U.S. Coast Guard, which in our case, because of the size of the boat, it has to be registered with the Coast Guard. You cannot register it in the country of Mexico as a non-Mexican citizen.
Sure. So it's registered, just
Coast,
not by any
Coast Guard
state?
owned by the LLC from Oregon, yes.
Yeah, that's
In
why
Oregon?
we pointed out in Exhibit 1.
Okay.
Number 6 in Exhibit 1 is the Coast Guard registration for the vessel. And then number 11 is the Mexican 10-year permit. They issue them in 10-year increments, and then you renew them. If you follow the boating news at all, if you remember maybe 9 or 10 months ago, the Mexican government had a field day because they had all these boats in marinas, both in Ensenada and Cabo, that did not have 10-year permits. And they went out and seized a couple of hundred boats. I mean, people went crazy because they either had expired tips or no tip at all. And the third biggest problem I experience is if you're selling a boat and you have a tip, you're supposed to cancel it so that when the next buyer comes in, they can get a tip. And what happens, and this happened Friday, I got a call because someone bought a boat, the prior owner didn't have a tip, but they found out 2 owners back had a tip, and there's still 2 years left on it. So my client can't take the boat to Mexico because the old tip is not in his name and it hadn't expired. So now what you have to do is they've got to dig up the original owner that filed the tip to cancel it before they can get one for that particular vessel.
Oh, boy, sounds complicated. With respect to the certificate of documentation that's based in Coos Bay, how does Oregon play in Coos Bay? Oregon and Coos Bay?
Yeah.
Or Coos Bay in Oregon?
Coos Bay is in Oregon, yeah. It's about halfway or a third of the way
Is that
up.
where you lived at the time?
Up the
or-
coast. No, that was the hailing port closest to the LLC that was headquartered out of Salem, Oregon.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
so it's simply the hailing port.
Yeah, the applicant is actually an Oregon LLC.
So the boat's really
Okay.
just, it's registered in the United States, not by any state.
Correct.
Right, but it's owned by an LLC, which is incorporated in Oregon.
Which is an Oregon
Okay.
corporation, yeah.
Chairman Siska, I have another question.
Go ahead.
With respect to the summary where you have a page with the depreciation by year of different percentages.
Yes.
It's not a straight line depreciation, and I'm just wondering if you have any information, and you said these came from the assessor, is it dealing with the drop in the market in 2008, 2009, and then something else at work, or if you have any information?
Candidly, I have no idea. But if you look at my summary on that page with percentages, and then you go to Exhibit 2, which is it's an email that I received from Mr. Azakora on the values. He actually pointed out to me that a couple of valuations that Mr. Peterson used were wrong, and that the depreciation was actually more than we were using when he was actually filling out his paperwork. So the percentages, with the exception of 2016, are based on the percentages that I received from Mr. Azakora in Exhibit 2. So that's, you can't make this stuff up.
And you mentioned that looking at the assessor's handbook dealing with vessel valuation, there's provisions that deal with what's your temporary situs. Do you have a page number or something you can refer me to?
Actually, I do.
Let's see what are you looking for?
There are several sites. The first one is Chapter 5, page 29, under situs. And then page 30, under temporary versus permanent situs. And then it also refers to Article 13, Section 14. Then on page 31, referring to that they're taxable where they're normally located. And then following our breakdown and following on page 31 in the handbook is another reference to the fact that if they're temporarily situated in California, they're not accessible in California.
And the handbook, this is the assessor's handbook?
Yes, the 2015 revised edition. I couldn't find one any newer, and I took it off the county website.
Okay.
And I have a copy here if you want it.
It would be helpful when we
Oh, sure.
deliberate, if you have extras.
I don't have extras, but it would be more useful in your hands than mine.
Thank you.
Does the assessor have any questions to the applicant regarding our presentation?
Yes, we do. And we're really sorry to hear about the situation of the family. We certainly, wish that your wife recovers. But speaking of that issue, you said that you have to come home and have all these procedures done at the family with the family doctor at Rose Avenue Medical Center, and then you have another procedure in Santa Paula Hospital. I mean, I was trying to remember.
Yeah, if I understood fully your question, we were in transit here. We were on the way to Mexico from north.
Yes.
We do have a family doc here because of the time that we do spend at the Oxnard address.
Yes.
So that become the logical thing to do. We were, this was not a new thing to us necessarily. We've been dealing with this since '03. It was just now flaring up to the point where we felt we couldn't deal with it anymore.
Yes. No. Again, I'm sorry to hear that. I know you had mentioned it before. Also, in one of the documents, when you met with Araceli, I believe.
Correct.
You also said that you were in Mexico, so you had to, again, fly back home and turn in the documents in person to her. In one of the letters, I believe that's what you mentioned too. And again, you're calling home the Oxnard location. That's what I'm understanding.
Yeah.
And then I have to be honest, that in this tab number 3, you have your import permit. I don't know what exhibit, how do you lay out your exhibits, but in tab number 3, you have an import permit which was expedited by what I'm gonna spell it, SAT, which is kind of like the IRS from Mexico, and that's a temporary import permit for the vessel, right? Again, you mentioned before, you couldn't register in Mexico because you're an American citizen. But they gave you a temporary import permit. That's what it is. And is that your understanding? That's what I'm reading here. I know it's in Spanish. I'm not talking about this page. It's label number 4.
Yes, the page labeled number 4 is a copy of the import permit. They call it a temporary import permit.
Yes.
But it's for 10 years.
Yes.
And it's renewable on a 10-year basis. And you can leave your boat there and use it in Mexico as long as you have this permit and it's up to date.
Yes. But again, it's temporary.
Well, if you consider 10 years plus 10 plus 10 plus 10, I guess so, yeah.
And let's see.
Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay. I have a few questions. With regards to the properties that you own within the United States, you said Long Beach, Oxnard, Washington. Is there anything, are those three? Okay. Did you pay ad valorem taxes for Los Angeles County with regards to the Long Beach?
I don't know what is that? I have my property tax in Long Beach.
Oh, for the boat? Did you pay taxes?
No.
Okay.
Well, no, here's an interesting furtherance of your question. I don't remember exactly, but I think it might have been 2012. We were on the route to Mexico in January. We went into Long Beach to Stan Miller Yachts, who did some warranty work in Alamitos Bay in Long Beach. And a month later, I got a tax bill for $25,000 from LA County. So I presented that after I got the one from here. I presented that to the assessor's office here, and after, I don't know, some interesting comments, I had to go into appeal with the LA County one, finally. So I got in their appeal process, but I never got to appeal because the assessor's office, Ventura County, intervened and said, we'll take this jurisdiction, I guess. So I got a letter from LA County saying that had been canceled in Long Beach. That was for a 3-day stay in January.
Okay. So you didn't pay ad valorem taxes for Los Angeles County. Do you pay ad valorem taxes in the state of Washington, within the state of Washington?
When you say ad valorem, you mean the boat?
Taxes on your boat?
No.
Okay. You're killing me. With regards to the import permit, well, I'll get to that in a second. Let me back up. How many houses out of the 3 have docks, boat docks?
One has dock, the Oxnard one does, and a rented slip up in the Washington house.
Okay.
A couple of miles away.
On the import permit, your tab 3, page 4, can you point out to us where it states that you're paying a tax?
Well, the import permit itself is a tax. You pay several $100s for that each time you renew it, the first time for 10 years. And so I've considered that a tax. I don't remember what the cost was, but it's a few $100s. There is no tax, by the way, assessed for vessels in Mexico to non-Mexican citizens.
Correct. I understand that. So because this is the workaround. The import permit is the workaround.
I don't understand what you're saying, Counsel, the workaround.
Because he's a U.S. citizen and bringing a U.S. registered boat into Mexican waters. That's the temporary permit is the workaround. To allow him to dock and refuel and take on supplies and.
Well,
I can answer that. Yeah, I don't believe that the proper word is a workaround for that. It's required in order to take a boat into Mexico. You can't without it. Each time in Mexico that you leave a port and you enter a port, you have to get exit papers from the port captain of where you leave, and you have to get entrance papers into the new port you go into. There's a tax associated with that each time, which we always pay. A lot of that documentation is what we've already given to the assessor's office.
So, for example, if you leave Ensenada and go to Cabo San Lucas, which is further south, what is the process?
Yeah, before you leave Ensenada, you have to go to the the immigration board, and you have to get exit papers stamped by what's called the port captain. And then when you enter the new place within, I think the law is within 4 hours of coming into Cabo San Lucas, for instance, which is 700 miles down the road, you have 4 hours to report into the captain of the port, present the passports of all people, present the documentation, the Coast Guard documentation, and present your import permit. And then you pay a fee, and then you're allowed to stay there however long you stay there. And then next time, same thing.
Just for clarification purposes, the fee that you're talking about, is that what this temporary import permit is? Like, since you're not a Mexican citizen or you're not importing permanently this yacht, they give you a temporary permit and you just pay a fee.
Correct. And then, well, that's correct. You pay a fee each other place as you go into and out of ports, as I've just explained.
Assessor has no further questions.
Okay. I have a question or two. Do you pay taxes on the boat in any state, Washington, Oregon, or California?
No, we do not.
No. Do you have to re-register it on an annual basis with the Coast Guard? Or a
Yes.
couple of years like a car? And is that
Each year.
each year?
Each year.
Okay. And so that's kind of like a tax or registration. How
It's
much
what?
is that? How much is that per year?
Oh, not expensive,
Not-
less than
okay.
$100.
Okay. Any further questions? No?
On the tax, or on the Oregon tax, there is no tax property on vessels, state of Oregon.
Okay, not in the state at all, even though you've rented a dock, which you're at?
Correct.
Part-time,
That
not
is-
part-time?
Yep,
Okay.
that is
That
correct.
wouldn't, since you rent, that's the only dock you actually rent, could that be considered your home base for the boat, since that's the only actual, because you kind of own the dock as part of your backyard in
Well,
Oxnard?
I would think not, because it's
No?
not
Okay.
there very much.
Okay.
I have another question. There was some testimony that you have family outside of California. Do you have family in the Oxnard area?
We do not.
Okay.
Well, unless Long Beach is Oxnard area, I don't know.
Okay.
Ventura County.
Yeah, okay.
Do we have any further questions? Nope. I think time for the assessors to present their side. Thank you.
For the record, Exhibit A has been submitted.
Okay, whenever you guys are ready.
Okay, so just to go over really quick about the background, even though Mr. Pearson already described it. That subject, GB Kodiak, is an American documented yacht, and as I mentioned before, it was first cited by the assessor's office during the 2013 dock walk in the Channel Island Harbor with the residents of 2321 Monaco Drive in Oxnard. And pretty much based on our research, we discovered that the yacht habitually returns to that address, and based on that, we provide some pictures. We have access to pictometry, and even the appraiser that was doing the dock walk took pictures, and we saw how that yacht comes back on forth, to that address, just like Mr. Pearson says, they're just sailing or flying, and they stay here for some time, and then they continue their travels. Now the issue here is about the status of the subject property. That's the reason, pretty much, why we're here. If this was a permanent, fixed to a property like a house or we wouldn't be here. But we understand that a yacht, a property like a yacht, is not, we certainly understand is not to be docked permanently in a residence. That, we have no argument, that's only logic, right? Section 404 of the Revenue and Taxation Code says, governs the assessment jurisdiction for property and states that all taxable property except state assessed property shall be assessed by the assessing agency of the taxing agency where the property is situated. Now, since vessels are personal property and are mobile property, they have not a fixed situs, okay? The situs varies on a day-to-day or month-to-month basis. So the marine appraiser has to determine the vessel's taxable situs, okay? Not necessarily the physical situs, okay? Just the taxable situs. Okay, if you turn to page 3, vessels plying in the high seas, just like in the case of the yacht, may constantly move between ports throughout the year, just like the yacht, the subject. Such vessels are generally bound by the home port doctrine that permits only the taxing authority of a home port to impose a tax. But in this case, that has changed. That the home port has changed. Now there is a hailing port in Oregon. Oops, excuse me. So it is an owner's burden, according to the Assessor's Handbook, 5776, page 31, is the owner's burden to provide documentation to an assessor that situs has been established elsewhere, either in another country, county, state, or country. And such documentation, again, based on what the Assessor's Handbook 576, page 31 says, such documentation would include a tax bill for the vessel in question by another jurisdiction or other supporting documents. Okay? So in regards to the issue number 1, so the taxpayer has stated that the yacht has, in their opinion, has permanent situs in Ensenada, Mexico, and they did provide a temporary import permit, okay, which I know that we already look at it, but it's on page 9 if you want to refer to it again. Again, it's a temporary import permit. It was issued by the Mexican Tax Administration Services, which in Spanish is an SAT, okay? And they did provide, and we appreciate that, the receipts for showing that they have fuel, they have to put fuel, repairs. They did receive services in Ensenada, in the Ensenada Marina, just like most vessels who go back and forth between the United States and Mexico. They do that. They have to do that. So these are long trips. If we turn to page number 4, again, the yacht, the GB Kodiak is an American yacht registered with the U.S. Coast Guard. If you turn to page 8, you're going to see a copy of that registration. And what I wanted to bring to your attention, and on page 8, the date that I have when this was printed by the Marine and Aircraft Division at the bottom right-hand corner was March 13, 2014. We see the owner location at 942 Windermere Drive, Northwest Salem, Oregon. If you turn to page number 9, and this was printed again by the Marine Appraiser in February 5th, 2014, we see that same type of Coast Guard vessel documentation that had the owner, or the address of the owner at 2321 Monaco Drive at Oxnard, which is the local house of that Mr. Peterson owns, that residence that Mr. Peterson owns. So the owner's address was changed after February 2014 to reflect the Salem, Oregon residence, which is, we did some research, and we noticed that that's a residence or a house owned by a certain Mr. Tyas, and that house that has no access to water for a yacht, certainly not that of that size. If you turn to pages 29 and page 30, you're going to see the copies of the or pictures of that house in Oregon, has no access to water. And there is also a copy of the assessors, the Polk County assessor from Oregon, showing who owns the house, which my understanding is that has no relationship with the applicant. Okay? And again, per Revenue and Taxation Code Section 404, all taxable property shall be assessed by the assessing agency or the taxing agency where the property is situated. But then, if you continue reading below that, regarding the Mexican temporary import permit, okay, the assessor's office had a conference call with the Mexican Customs Office back on July 29, 2015. And the Mexican officer explained, that this is just a temporary permit. They only paid about $49 flat fee, and that's only charged to foreign vessels, meaning that, and I certainly don't want to imply anything here. I'm going to specifically talk about the issues that are going on in Mexico that I think that, we're all aware of. That's a third world country that has suffered some, corruption. So when a Mexican national tries to avoid paying taxes, they can't do that.
I'm going to object. This sounds more like argument than testimony on the appeal. I mean, we're talking about corruption in Mexico.
No, that's what I'm saying. I'm not trying to imply anything. You're saying that that's why, in order to prevent that, what the Mexican authorities do is that they have to issue these permits only to people who can demonstrate that they're not Mexican citizens, so they're like foreigners. I don't know if I can clarify that for it. I certainly don't want to imply anything against the applicant. I'm saying that only a foreigner can apply for this permit. That way, whatever happens with the Mexican, that's their problem. Okay. Again, it's only this is not a Mexican ad valorem tax. Okay, it's charged only the ad valorem tax is only charged to Mexican vessels. That's why Mr. Peterson's yacht doesn't pay taxes in Mexico. It's not a Mexican vessel. Okay, that's what we heard from the Mexican Customs Office. Okay, the fact that the permit is temporary for foreign vessels, in our opinion, it indicates that the subject has not established a permanent tax status in Mexico. Okay, and again, Mr. Peterson has stated that the yacht has not been nationalized in Mexico. It's an American vessel. Okay, and just like him, other yacht owners anyone who has a vessel who wants to go flying in Ensenada is required to pay this fee as a foreigner. Okay, anyone, there is no exception. As long as you're a foreigner and you pay that tax, you can go over there to Mexico. And when we did some research of the Mexican law, and which indicated that the Mexican yachts that are registered in the state of Baja California, Mexico, which is where the Ensenada, the city of Ensenada, Port of Ensenada is located, they pay yearly taxes, ad valorem taxes at a rate of 1.5%. And we have Exhibit C. Have Exhibit C here? Okay. Well, pretty much what it is that we made some printouts from that website, and it says that that they have an official newspaper for the state of Baja California, which pretty much says that they have to, who has to pay taxes on it, who doesn't have to pay taxes on it. But it explains that if you have a permanent vessel in Mexico, you have to pay 1.5 taxes for ad valorem taxes. They call it tenencia. That's the Mexican word, or Spanish word, I should say. That's how it's called. Okay. Since the yacht is not registered in Mexico, they don't pay ad valorem taxes to that country. I'm going to pass on Exhibit B.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For the record, Exhibit B has been submitted.
All right.
Okay, so this is a document, again, expedited by the Mexican authority. This is not an American authority. We are pretty much relying on what the Mexican authority said about Mexican customs, you know, like going across. This is the SATs, and it has a logo of the SAT, which is pretty much the tax administration for Mexico. If you go to page number 3, it talks about temporary importation of vehicles, motorcycles, sea vessels, and motorhomes. And this explains about how they control a temporary importation of, again, vehicles, motorcycles, sea vessels, motorhomes, which is, in this case, if you flip the page, and it's paid to an entity that's called Banjorcito, and that's just the bank that they use. And I mean, I'm not going to go over the whole thing, but it's pretty much that the institution where foreigners would pay, or someone who's trying to import a property or a vessel would pay in Mexico. Okay? The following page, it specifically says who can apply for a temporary import permit. And again, I know it's probably redundant, but I think it's important to show that, you know, we were able to get a hold of this document based on the information that we have, and it was even translated by them, by the Mexican authorities. So it says, you know, that foreign citizens are authorized by the National Immigration Institute, their own I don't know, ICE, I guess. They're authorized to take their own, you know, if you're a visitor, you can bring your vessels, and then you can bring big vehicles, and then they tell you what the requirements are. They have to pretty much, what I said before, they have to give you a permit. There's a temporary permit. And in this page, I don't know if you can see it here with all the pictures. Foreign citizens may temporarily import recreational or sports sea vessels, which was sailboats or yachts larger than 14.7 feet. And it also says, it goes into saying into Mexico through a temporary vessel import permit. Again, this is a temporary thing, just like the lady from our conference call had said. Okay. Yes, and agreeing with Mr. Pearson and Mr. Canapesca had said before, the validity of this permit is for a period of 10 years. The cost of this importation permit is $45, $45 plus IVA. That's the Mexican sales tax. Okay. It talks about the requirements. Once again, you know, I went through those already. The foreigner from Mexico, a non-Mexican citizen, will have to provide a passport or naturalization certificate from you know, from being a non-Mexican citizen, and then they have to provide a title. This is just for temporary import. Okay, they don't have to pay ad valorem taxes. So I'm just gonna flip to a couple of pages, and I'm gonna go to this one. This one is in red. Has a couple of pages after that. It talks about a permanent importation.
Excuse me, is
of
the
vehicles.
page talking about vehicles?
Yes, but then as you keep on flipping, it tells you about the procedure, and that's for pretty much any, like I cannot take I don't have a yacht, but I cannot take it just like that, and if I wanted to stay there permanently, I would have to get a permanent importation like that, you know, like this one. It talks about what the procedures have to be done with the custom ports, the importation request. They have to pay the required taxes, and that's only because, like I mentioned before, for them to try to prevent illegal imports into Mexico, like you know, trafficking all those issues that they have in Mexico. So I cannot just grab, for example, a vehicle here and just try to sell it over there without paying taxes to the Mexican authorities. I can't do that, or no one can. So, in generally speaking, with this document, we're just showing that there is a way, or is a distinction between a permanent and a temporary permit for Mexican authorities. Okay, now continue. I'm going to go back to the presentation on page 4. The assessor's office record shows that the property located at 2321 Monaco Drive is owned by the trust, Mr. Peterson and his wife's trust. And yes, they are they pretty much members or the secretaries and president of the GB Kodiak LLC. Claim for homeowners property tax exemption was filed in October 2003. You flip to pages 14 and 15. You're going to see a copy of those permits. Okay, sure. So in page 14 is just a history of how they have been receiving homeowners exemption, which is only granted to the primary residences in California. And you can see in page 14 all the history. Since they've been receiving this since 2004, 5, all the way to 2016. So that shows, in page 15, you can see the application, and if you can read at the bottom, you can see how it was filled out in October 2003. And one of the questions or the statements, it says, that you occupy or intend to occupy this property as your principal residence. And that was signed back in June 10, 2003. So I think that we believe, based on this information, that the Monaco Drive is the principal residence. Okay? We also, this form is filed and signed under penalty of perjury by homeowners who intend to occupy the property, again, as their principal residence. So I think these residents meet the criteria established in the Levian's Taxation Code, Section 1138. Now, we also did some research in the County of Ventura Elections Office website, and we were able to find, if you flip to pages 16 and pages 19, that Mr. Peterson and his wife are also registered voters within the County of Ventura. Per annotation 740.0030, a vessel owned by an out-of-state corporation, which is the case, and documented at a home port in another state, may nevertheless be taxable by a California county, provided that its continuous presence in that county indicates that the vessel has acquired a new taxable status therein. So we believe that we have enough information to show that Mr. Peterson's primary residence is I know the vessel is plying several months of the year in other out of state, but the primary residence, we believe it's here in Ventura County.
Excuse me, what page were you on?
On page 4, sir. Then at the bottom of page 4, Mr. Peterson and his wife are also regular members of the local Pacific Corinthian Yacht Club in the China Island Harbor. During this organization's 2012 volunteer awards, they were awarded a Yachtsman and Yachtswoman of the Year. If you turn to page 21, you're going to see a copy of that document. Again, in our opinion, this shows that they're involved with the local community. And we understand that they have family in other states, in other cities, but there is presence in the county. Okay?
Is 2012 at issue?
No, but
No.
we're showing that this continues. Well, like I said, since the issue is that the vessel is always like plying in high waters, so we're just trying to show that we have enough evidence to say that the applicant has home port or has like a domicile here, has like there is a reason why they come back here, and they have the homeowner's exemption, like I said before. I mean, this is a primary residence, and they signed that document as well. The applicant claims that the yacht's home port is actually is a hailing port with Coos Bay, Oregon, and however, per Assessor's Handbook 576, since 1995, a hailing port is now used in the certificate of documentation of vessels. So the taxable status of vessels put into service is the domicile of the owner. So, we've been trying to establish that from the beginning, that the domicile of the applicant is here in Ventura. Okay? The state of Washington, there is another property in Washington that Mr. Peterson owns, requires resident vessels to register and pay the watercraft excise tax in lieu of the property tax. So they don't pay property tax, they pay the excise tax. And you turn to pages 27 and 28. You're gonna see, we just print out some documents from their website when they talk about what is the watercraft excise tax in page 27. It's a tax on the fair market values and ad valorem tax based on non-commercial boats. This tax is in lieu of property tax. So if there is a copy of, we will be able to close this issue if we get a copy of that tax payment to the state of Washington, but we haven't received one. So
Doesn't this refer to a commercial tax? It says commercial vessel. It doesn't say,
market value
it doesn't say private.
in the highlighted part, it is a tax on the fair market value or of non-commercial tax. I'm sorry, non-commercial
Yeah, but
boats.
if you go to the next sentence, it refers to it as a commercial vessel tax.
Some commercial. Yeah, some commercial vessels may be subject to personal property tax, but since this is not the issue, we're not addressing. One is addressing that is non-commercial boats, and if you flip to page number 28, it talks about non-resident vessels. That's for Washington. So I'm just, going to point out really quick to that. But it talks what happens with non-residents when they stay for a long period of time. But again, it would be very helpful if we just get a copy of a tax return. So it's true that we did not receive a vessel property statement in 2011, okay, when the address of the owner in the register was the Oxnard residence.
Excuse me, what did you say?
Yes, in 2011, when the address, let me flip a page, hold on. The registration, it shows the Oregon address.
Right.
So back in 2011, when the address of the owner was, in that registration, the address was the Oxnard residence. We never received a 2011 website.
Are you referring to page 9?
Yes.
All right,
So-
well, if you look at the bottom of that document, it says the issuance was September 2013, expires October 2014. So that is not the registration for 2011, is it?
No.
That's not the registration for
Excuse me.
2015.
The assessor would like to be able to get through his whole presentation.
Sure, I'm sorry.
And then you can hit us on cross.
Bad habit.
So all I'm trying to say here is that the residence before these years was the Oxnard residence. And it was changed later, but even after being changed, we still have evidence that shows that the primary residence is here in Ventura County. And again, if we were to have some documentation or some tax jurisdiction, the tax bill that shows that taxes were paid to Washington or Long Beach, we probably wouldn't be here. And that will conclude the presentation as far as the situs goes. We believe there is enough evidence to show that the domicile is in Oxnard, is the Oxnard residence.
Okay. Any questions of the assessor's office? Do we want to? Good.
If I remember correctly, when the applicant testified with respect to year 2015, I thought they said they weren't in Ventura County at all during the entire year of 2015, if I remember right. So how is it that the assessor has, with respect to the application for year 2015, determined that there was a continuous presence or whatever the assessor's standard was that needed to be met for 2015?
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry. Let me go over page 6. Thank you. The Revenue and Taxation Code Section 1138, vessels documented outside of this state and plying in whole or in part in its waters, the owners of which reside in this state shall be assessed in this state. Annotation 740, that next paragraph, 740.0030. A vessel owned by an out-of-state corporation and documented at a home port in another state may nevertheless be taxable by a California county, provided that its continuous presence in that county indicates that the vessel has acquired a new taxable situs therein. Then the next paragraph, annotation 740.0031, when a vessel documented in California and owned by a California resident is documented elsewhere and relocated to a foreign country, the vessel will continue to be taxable in California until the owner establishes to the assessor that the vessel has acquired status elsewhere. And I don't know that, I think I answered your question.
Okay, any other questions?
Yes, if you go to page 9, the vessel documentation that shows the Monaco Drive address.
Yes, sir.
Have you ever shown that to Mr. Peterson before?
I believe didn't we get this from Mr. Peterson? I wasn't under the impression, because I didn't get this for myself. I got it from the Marine and Aircraft Division.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't under the impression that you provided this to them.
Did you ever ask him why it had that address?
No.
Yeah, all right. And if you look at Exhibit 1 on page 6, it shows the Windemar address in Salem, Oregon for 2014 and 2015. Is that not correct?
So you're talking about your presentation? Or?
Yeah, Exhibit 1, number 6. Because the documentation is renewed every year.
Yes.
And for 2014, 2015, it shows as the Oregon address, does it not?
Yes.
Which is different than the one you show in 13, 14, which is for a different tax year.
Yes.
And you did not ask Mr. Peterson why it may even have been sent to that address.
No,
Okay.
we're trying to establish that the vessel was continuously coming back to the residence and the primary residence. As I mentioned before, we did look up at this Salem, Oregon address, and like I mentioned before, it's registered to a different individual. I believe there is also an internet company that sells marketing company in that address. So I don't see I understand that the vessel could use this address, but I just don't see how could that be a primary residence or a domicile for the applicant. I just don't see how could that be a home port also, because there is no direct access to water in that residence.
Can you look at Exhibit 1, page 8? Now, the picture of the house with no dock that you're talking about, that's the address for a registered agent for service process in the state, is it not?
I'm sorry, what page are you looking at?
I'm not following your exhibit reference, if you can read us
Yes,
there again.
Exhibit 1, number 8. You had testified that this address is for a house, and they don't have a dock, so you can't put a boat at it. And isn't it correct that the property you're referring to is the address for Pacific Registered Agents?
Yeah.
Who is the registered agent in the state of Oregon?
Yes.
Is there a law in Oregon that a registered agent has to have a dock?
No.
And the address?
No, or, I'm sorry, I do not know Oregon law, so I'm going to say, as far as I know, no.
And other than them acting as the registered agent, is there any connection between Pacific Registered Agents at the Windemar address and this assessment?
What it was doing was, or what we're attempting to do is take that address out of the equation as a home port for the subject vessel.
Okay.
I think it's important to note that even the applicant has stated several times that his home address is the Oxnard address. And I think the annotations very clearly point out that we have to assess it here in California in Ventura County.
All right, I have no further questions.
Okay, I think we're set now. I think we want to adjourn for lunch. Be back in 45. Can we do closing?
Can I
after
ask
lunch?
one further question,
Yes.
Chairman Sisk? What period of time, if the assessor has a measurement that it uses, does someone need to be in the county in order to establish a situs? And if you can, like, what's the minimum period of time, if there is one, that someone needs to be in the county in order for the assessor to find that there is a situs in the county? And then I'm wondering, based on your answer, what code section or regulation ties to that expectation?
Sorry, I thought he was referencing something. There is no minimum period of time. Upon discovery, you then do research and find out if it's registered in another county. And then you find out, okay, if it's registered in another county, are they assessing it there? If they are, then much like what Mr. Peterson said, Los Angeles County hit them with a tax bill. He filed the appeal. Los Angeles stepped away because we said we were going to take the issue because we felt that because of his domicile here.
Yes, and I just wanted to add, again, the Revenue and Taxation Code, Section 1138. It doesn't give you a period of time. It talks about vessels documented outside of the state and plying in whole or in part in its waters. So it doesn't really give you, like, if we were talking about a different type of property, like oil rigs, yeah, I mean, 6 months. But in this particular case, the code only says plying in whole or in part in its waters. It would be great if it gives
If there's
date.
no evidence that in 2015 it was in whole and part in the Ventura County waters, is the reason that for the 2015 tax year you've assessed it because you couldn't find any other county up and down the coast of United States where they were paying taxes? Is that the reason you are exerting that Ventura County should tax?
So I believe it was addressed in the presentation, and maybe perhaps Mr. Azcora can provide the reference, but it's the burden of the applicant to prove to us that they've paid an ad valorem tax in some other jurisdiction. And in this case, his domicile was actually Ventura County. He's not disputing that. The law clearly says that if he lives in Ventura County, then it will be taxed here unless, and you can look at the annotations we've referenced, unless he can prove to us that he's paid ad valorem tax elsewhere, which he has not done.
The applicant testified that he provided the ship logs from 2008 through sometime in 2016 to the assessor's office. And if I remember the applicant's testimony properly, he characterized the fact that those ship logs would support the fact that the ship never came to Ventura County in 2015. Does the assessor have evidence to dispute the applicant's
Annotation
summary?
740.0031, which is what I read before. So when a vessel documented in this case, documented in California and owned by a California resident is documented elsewhere and relocated to a foreign country, the vessel will continue to be taxable in California until the owner establishes to the assessor that the vessel has acquired situs elsewhere. And we're just looking at taxable situs. That we don't dispute, and we understand that the vessel has been in Mexico or Alaska and other areas for long periods of time, probably over a year. But based on this, we're just trying to establish, okay, if it was in Mexico and it did establish tax situs there, just provide us with a copy of a tax bill, not a fee, but an actual tax bill, which they are unable to do because it's a temporary situs over there. And we have not received one from Washington as well, even though there is another residence in Washington. Again, we have information that shows that the domicile is here. So to us, the taxable situs is here. Because if the taxable situs was in Washington, then it would be just so easy just to get a copy of a tax bill and then close the case.
It's kind of the nature of boats that they move. He could have been on an around-the-world trip, and it still would have been assessed in Ventura County based on his home being here and him being registered to vote. And obviously, he returns here for medical issues, and he lives in Ventura County. It's almost a moot point where was the boat, because boats do move. The code simply provides that we assess it at the location in which the owner resides, which is here.
Okay, I think we'll have more questions when we come back from lunch.
Yes.
We'll be back at 1:30.
He's the chair.
You would do 45-minute lunch break? Is 1:40 okay? We need
1:40 is fine.
Okay, a little more than 35 minutes. Okay, adjourned. Okay, are we ready for closing comments, or were we all done, or were there some more questions before we proceed?
I just have a clarifying question. If the parties could address valuation with their bottom line position, if I'm don't want to assume, but is it the applicant's position that in the summary the value shown after the depreciation given is that the applicant's position?
Yes, it is, and I remember why that's the case, because the recommended value for the assessor includes the penalty for not filing the statement, and we've asked for an abatement based on the circumstances under Revenue and Tax Code 463C, which is right under our value. So that's why we have the difference.
And so, for instance, in the year 2015, that in your summary, there's a number there of 1266197.05.
Correct.
Is that number including the penalty or exclusive?
No, that's exclusive of the penalty. For example, if you look at the assessor's recommended value, it's $1,342,800, which includes the penalty. And that's why we kind of reached the impasse before we got here, because they said they didn't have the power to waive the penalty. That's up to you. So we like our numbers. We can agree on their numbers with the penalty, but we're asking for the abatement, if that makes sense.
It would be helpful if the assessor could give a brief summary snapshot of its position in terms of the valuation.
Yeah, just for clarification, the only year that had a penalty is 2011.
Correct.
Yeah, but 15 and 16 do not have a penalty.
Correct.
So.
And we were asking for the abatement based on the circumstances
On the
in
2011,
11, right.
11.
And you indicated you didn't have the power.
No, we
board.
don't have the power.
Okay.
Only the board. I mean, after you guys present, and we can explain over 463. But
So 15 and 16 did not have a penalty?
No.
Okay.
That is correct.
No, they shouldn't, because what happened is when we filed the appeal, we also paid the tax, so that they
Okay.
wouldn't assess a penalty.
Okay. And then in 2015, the boat was never in Oxnard, correct?
just for clarification, the penalty that we're referring is not for late payment, is the penalty under Revenue and Taxation Code 463 for not filing timely vessel property statement in the year 2011. I don't know if that clarifies that. So it has nothing to do with paying the taxes. It's just with filing timely the property statement.
So just so I'm clear, so you're saying the assessor's position is the residence of this boat from 2011 till today is in Ventura County, correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And is there a difference between the word domicile and the word situs?
Yes.
And can
Well-
you explain to me what that is?
Well, we're trying to establish the domicile from the owner.
In Ventura County?
In Ventura County, that's
Okay.
the primary residence, the primary domicile. And based on that, the vessel's taxable situs will also be here because, the owner is going to be coming back and forth it's continuously coming back and forth to Ventura
Okay.
County.
And from your point of view, simply that the difference is the applicant is saying the domicile is not in Ventura County, correct?
The situs,
The situs,
taxable
they're talking only
situs.
about, they're talking about the physical situs, which, as we explained during our presentation, we agree, a large yacht is not made to dock in Oxnard forever. We expect that type of vessel to go everywhere, anywhere, within the, North Pacific Ocean. So, we do not disagree with the physical size of the vessel because that's what it is. That's the intent. to
But
go
you're
back and
saying that
forth.
the domicile is in Ventura County?
Yes,
And has
I
been
remember.
since 2011?
2003 or 4 when they purchased that.
Oh, you purchased it in 2008?
Yes.
Yes.
Boat in 8, the house in 3.
So I'm just trying
Yes,
to-
the house,
okay, so
the house in 3 and the boat in 8.
I'm just trying to clarify the terms. So to the applicant, is the domicile, where's the domicile been since 2008?
You don't use domicile in terms of taxing the vessel. The
Okay.
domicile is where you live. The taxable situs is where you believe the boat is or should be taxable.
Okay, and where do you think the taxable situs is?
In Mexico.
In Mexico?
Right, and.
Okay, but you have not filled out a permanent permit in Mexico, correct?
Well, I was going to ask some questions regarding that because you can't unless you're a Mexican citizen.
So-
That's why they came up with the temporary import, so that non-citizens could get into Mexico and they could keep track of them. The real problem you have is, because you're paying $49 for this and $97 for that and $82 for that, do you have to pay a minimum amount somewhere to qualify as taxable situs? And our argument is no.
Okay.
And basically, their argument is because they have a house in Ventura with a dock, that
the boat should be taxed in Ventura County. And
Okay.
I don't believe that's,
So just to be clear, as far as ad valorem tax or a tax on the boat, you don't pay that tax anywhere then, correct?
Not an ad valorem tax. No, it's not described as that. It's fees for doing different things in different places.
Sure,
All of
but
which
the,
are
but like the
taxes.
temporary, the tip, that's, what,
Right.
$49 or something?
That's an assessment, as a tax, it's whatever you want to call it. Going to Cabo is an assessment or a tax. Going to Barra Navidad is an assessment or a tax.
Sure, okay.
You go to Oregon, they don't charge nothing for nothing, you know, and, you know, you can't say, well, because you don't pay tax in Oregon, you pay it in Ventura because you have a house here. I mean, what if they had a house here but didn't have a dock? And they stopped at the boat yard or the marine yard or whatever? Are we gonna assess unsecured personal property tax for a year because you stopped in Ventura County?
Mhm.
You know, they're getting penalized because they have a dock. You know, they pay property tax on the house, they pay a water tax or something on the slip, you know, to cover a reserve for the seawall.
So let me just ask you about the dock. So the dock is 65 feet wide?
No, it's 80 feet long.
80 feet long?
You're right, and
So
they have a Duffy on it, which they pay.
They have a what?
A Duffy, an electric boat, which they pay.
Okay.
You know, and they have friends coming north and south that have a 65 Fleming, a
Sure.
50, that
But like
stop
a-
and will stay at
an
the house
85-foot
if you-
wide dock is not a...
No, wide is maybe, what, 6 feet?
Oh, yeah, 6 or 8 feet wide. I mean, so.
Length.
You're talking length.
It's not a typical dock, though, correct, for
No,
general-
it's a private residential dock.
I understand, but it's not a typical size dock, correct?
Is
Well,
that
it
dock
is in
size above
Ventura.
average for Mandalay Bay?
Pardon?
Is that dock size above average for Mandalay Bay?
Yeah, it's probably above average, yeah.
Okay.
So,
But not, so I mean, the docks are, the minimum docks are 40 and the biggest are 120. We're 85, so.
so did you buy the house with that length of dock for this boat?
No, we bought the house. Well, let me explain the dock.
That's-
We bought, well, first of all, we like to live on the water. And we used an electric boat when we're here. So we dock the electric boat there. We have some kayaks that are on the boat, on the dock. And we like not to have the big boat here because we don't like to ruin the view of the water. So the house we liked happened to have a dock.
Of that length?
Yeah, we had looked at beach property when we moved here in '03. And for wind reasons and sand reasons and all kinds of stuff, nothing to do with the boat. We chose to get a water view at the harbor instead of a water view on the beach. So we utilize the dock when we're here for the kayaks and for the little electric boat.
Okay.
So we just want, excuse me, so we just want to refer to the document that we
Assessor B.
we call it Exhibit B, where it talks about permanent importation of well, that documentation that must be submitted to the customs agent. This is the third page, the last here. And it talks about permanent importation into Mexico. And this is a document that that was provided by obtained from the SAT, which is the Tax Administration Service. That's the word in Spanish. You know, will translate as Tax Administration Service, and it talks about permanent importation. So when you have permanent importation into Mexico, you will pay taxes, and it tells you here about. It talks about the taxes and other permits, and of course that's way more expensive than the regular $45 fee. That's also in establishing what they call the Baja California official newspaper, where they talk about what are the requirements and what do they have to pay ad valorem taxes for the vessels that are registered in that state of Mexico.
excuse me, the page that's entitled Permanent Importation,
Permanent,
which
yeah.
is second from the end, talks about vehicles in the fourth bullet point. It's not clear it addresses vessels.
I'm talking about the following page, unless,
Subsequent page.
yeah, subsequent page. When it talks about canceling temporary importation permits, vehicles, motorhomes or sea vessels. Then it talks about permanent importation.
The one with the paragraph in red, some red highlighting? Are we
That's
looking at the
probably
same
before.
page? Application procedure, is that the page you're looking at?
Or is this the one that has permanent document importation at the top?
The red one, the one that you just say, that's, the subsequent one, 2 more pages.
The next one?
Yes, canceling.
Canceling, and then the permanent importation is the next one, the subsequent one. When people want to take that, to go that route, to permanent import.
Right, that's what I explained, that is if you have a tip and you're selling your boat, you should cancel the tip because the next owner can't get one. But that's the temporary permit. The next owner can't get one until the one that's on the vessel is canceled. So this is regarding, they're actually having a big symposium next weekend at the Mexican consulate in LA on guys that are stuck with old tips and how do you cancel them without going to Mexico City. So it is a process, but what we're distinguishing here is this is a tip, which is what my client has, because it's the only way a non-citizen can get a boat into Mexico. He also testified already that you can't get permanent registration on a vessel in Mexico if you're a non-citizen. So this is the legal way to get the boat in. And then the leaving the dock and going to the next dock where you pay to go everywhere is their method of A, tracking the boat, and B, getting money for going to a different place.
To the assessor, you have the pictometry on your exhibit on page 11 of the boat being at the property. In
Yes.
2010 and 9.
Yes, that is correct.
So I'm assuming that you have pictometry of different years with the boat not being there?
That is correct. Yeah, there are years when pictometry, they do the aerial photos in a certain period of time. And yes, there are times when, it's true that the vessel is not there.
So I'm assuming, like, let's say in November of 2011, you looked at it and you saw there was not a boat there, so you did not include it in the appraisal?
That would be correct.
Okay.
And the same for 12 and the same for 13, 2012, 2013?
That's correct. There's no requirement that it be physically located there on the flyover date, which could be any number of days throughout the year. The requirement is that we assess the boat to the owner and the place where he resides, which is Ventura County.
But none of these pictures correspond to the assessment years.
We are trying to show that the vessel is continuously returning to that address.
And these pictures that aren't from the aerial, that was from your department?
Yes, from the marine dock walk.
Right, and I would also like to clarify, we would remove the assessment, we would cancel the assessment as they did in LA County upon receipt of proof that they've paid ad valorem tax in another jurisdiction.
Do you have a site for that? Because it's not in any of this paperwork that I reviewed.
I believe we've referenced several property tax code sections as well as annotations that you can reference for that.
Right. Well, I had all that. Do you want to argue and then have a rebuttal question? Or I just have like 3 questions for Mr. Peterson. It's up to you.
3 questions from Mr. Peterson?
Yes.
Okay.
So I thought I saw the procedure was you have closing argument, and then if you want to have rebuttal argument, you ask the questions then.
If you want to
I'll just
submit the, okay, that's fine.
I'll
Shall we-
interject. The property tax rule says that the chair of the meeting can conduct it in any matters he see fit. The only requirement is the party with the burden of proof has the right to open and close the hearing. So if there's a request that the board's typical path be altered, that should be made to the acting chair, Mr. Sisk, and he can determine how to proceed. The board's typical procedure is each party makes their presentation, questions are asked. Once questioning is complete, the party without the burden makes their closing statements, and then the party with the burden of proof makes their closing statements. So based on where we are at now, following the normal procedure, all parties would finish asking the assessor questions. The assessor would then be permitted to make their closing statements, and then the applicant would be permitted to make their closing statements last, if we continue to follow normal procedure of the board.
Excuse me, if I may answer the question that was asked before about getting tax bills or proof that taxes were paid to a different jurisdiction. On Assessor's Handbook 576, page 31, says that it is an owner's burden to provide documentation to an assessor that situs has been established elsewhere, either in another county, state, or country. Such documentation would include a tax bill for the vessel in question by another jurisdiction or other supporting documents.
What page were you reading from?
I'm sorry, page 3 in our presentation. Yeah, but it makes reference to the Assessor's Handbook 576.
So I'm under the
31.
impression, though, in Oregon, if he was domiciled in Oregon, he would not be paying any tax?
That is correct.
Okay. So
Yeah.
what would be the other documentation that he would be domiciled in Oregon?
Well, I think one of the documentations would be the fact that he actually owned property in Oregon. He doesn't. He stated that he owns property in California and Washington. So the fact that the corporation's registered there, but.
At the agent's address?
Yes.
Okay, so that would never be considered a domicile?
Not his domicile.
Okay.
A domicile.
Well, it would be the domicile for the corporate or the LLC in Oregon.
Yeah, but we're looking at a primary residence of the owner in this case.
No, you're mixing domicile and residence.
Well, yeah, we're looking at where the boat will continually return, and we're looking at the vessel continuously returning to Ventura County. There are two jurisdictions within the United States, which could be the Long Beach residence or the Los Angeles County. It could be Washington. If the yacht was permanently had permanent status in Mexico, they would also get like that tenencia tax that Mexican authorities charge to the vessels that have permanent status there. So that's really the type of documentation we're trying to find.
Okay, but I was under the impression you have to be a resident of Mexico to have permanent status?
Well, that's what I was.
That is Mr. Peterson's testimony.
That is correct.
That's what I was making reference to this. You know, a lot of people from the United States, they live in Mexico. They're not residents. They're not citizens. You know, a lot of expats. I think that's what they call them. You know, and they have their own vehicles, their own boats, but if they're there, they're not paying. They're not registered with the DMV or with the U.S. Coast Guard. They're there because they're permanent status. They're already living there. So that's what I was making reference to. Once you establish permanent status in Mexico, then yes, you have to pay taxes there.
Even if you're on a boat?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
Mike.
So are we ready to move on to closing? I think Assessor's Office, so you have the burden of proof. I mean, you have the burden of, you guys speak first. Sorry. Are you ready for closing arguments?
I'm sorry, I just wanted to say that, once again, just even if you're an American citizen, you have permanent residence there. Yeah, a vehicle there, you cannot just drive around in Mexico without having an actual Mexican registration, because that's what they're looking for in Mexico, for people who have illegal vehicles. And so, yeah, they're required to have that registration if they have permanent status there. If you're a tourist, like Mr. Peterson is, or is in a temporary, cruising through Mexico, yeah, you don't have to have that. Okay.
Okay, go ahead. We're ready to move
on. The applicant's asking the board to play Where's Waldo with regards to the boat. And, ships, logs, journeys, we understand, and everyone would expect a 65-foot yacht to move up and down the coast. It's ready for the high sea. It would be a shame if it didn't, see some adventures. But the fact is, the applicant has a principal residence in Oxnard. He's a registered voter here. He has a homeowner's exemption on his residence. And he's had the residence longer than he's had the boat. As referenced on page 6, Mr. Escora has mentioned a few times, but I'll mention it again. When a vessel documented in California and owned by a California resident is documented elsewhere and relocated to a foreign country, the permit, the vessel will continue to be taxable in California until the owner establishes to the assessor that the vessel has acquired situs elsewhere. All we're asking is for proof that ad valorem tax was paid elsewhere. The fee for the permit is not an ad valorem tax. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. All right.
We're not playing Where's Waldo with the boat. We have shown you every place the boat has been for the year 2011, 2015, and 2016. If you look at all of the codes that are cited, both in my summary and in the assessor's documentation, it says unless. And there's, on page 2 of their documents, it's where the property is situated. If you look at page 3, they highlighted the area in the 3rd paragraph, but the following paragraph says if a tax bill from another jurisdiction is offered, the assessor should request the bill to be marked canceled after offering its proof that the vessel has gained a different situs. And then it goes on to state that, unless it's moved, right, excuse me. On page 5, as a result of taxable situs put into service since 1995 as domicile of the owner, unless a taxable situs of a vessel can be determined elsewhere. All of the evidence that we have presented here is to show that the vessel, since inception, has been located elsewhere, that it is passing through California in transit. And there are distinctions in here regarding in transit versus permanent.
on page 31, vessels are taxable in a jurisdiction where they are normally located. Goes on to say in the handbook, vessels that are temporarily situated in California on a lien date but have permanent taxable situs outside of California are not assessable in California. Also, in the under boats and vessels, under the assessor, clerk, recorder information for why are boats, vessels taxed. It has under determination of situs of the boat or vessel in section 14, domicile of the owner is the usual tax situs. However, proof that the boat is habitually stored or moored elsewhere when not in use overrides that presumption. And our whole point, again, is between the unlesses and why nots, we have provided where the boat has been, and I believe we have met our burden to show that the habitual location of where the boat is stored or moored is not in Ventura. If they owned that house and didn't have a dock, we wouldn't be having this conversation. If they didn't own the house, but the boat was in a marina in Ventura, they're good to go to tax. If I live in Orange County and I bring my boat to Ventura for the year, because the boat's in Ventura, it's taxable. And we're making the distinction that that's not the case here. This is not a habitual location, and that we meet the exemptions, the howevers, the unlesses, that the boat's not having a taxable situs in Ventura County. Aside from that, I mean, it's undisputed. The boat was not here at the end of 14, all of 15, and part of 16. Yet Ventura County wants the tax because they have a picture that the boat was here in a non-assessable year of 2014. You know, there are no pictures from 2015. All of them are in a 3-day sequence in November in 2014. I'm sure if we went back and, you know, had a case at issue for 2014, you know, if we said, all right, the boat was in Mexico up until November 1, and then we left November 19th for Mexico, because it was here 3 days, doesn't establish that it's a taxable situs. And that is the reason we have provided this evidence specifically. And to look at a picture from November 2014 has no bearing on the case. If they have an aerial photo from 09, we're not even talking about 09. We're talking about 11, 15, and 16. We have shown that there was a situs other than Ventura in all of 2015, that the reason the boat was in transit and stayed here for so long in 2011 was because of an unfortunate medical situation with Carol Peterson. That in and of itself does not change the taxable situs. And what I was going to offer up from Mr. Peterson as to the 1 year, I think it's on page 9, where they showed that the documentation for 2013, I believe, was the address in Ventura. And over the break, I asked Mr. Peterson why that was, and he said, well, there was 1 year when we were in transit from Oregon down to Mexico, and we hadn't received the certificate of documentation, the current one, because it rolls over in October. And he said, so the easiest thing to do was we called the Coast Guard and told them to mail it to that address
so that we could get it on the way down, because they couldn't get back into Mexico through customs, not having current documentation. So that's easily explained, and if you look at the exhibit for the following year, it's back to the Oregon address. So it's not like they were looking to, change the situs based on having a document mailed to one address versus the other.
Yeah, let me add to that, Paul. If you go to your exhibit where we applied for the state exemption, you will notice that it's the Salem address. That was in 2008. If you look at current documentation of the boat, it's the Salem, Oregon address in 2015. So that 1 year, apparently, where they got an address for Monaco, the only thing that I can figure out is what I explained to Paul, is I called Coast Guard Documentation Center in Falling Waters, West Virginia, and said, we're coming through, I don't have my documentation yet, where is it? And they said, we're processing it right now. And I said, could you mail it to this address? And they said, fine. And we received it as they said we would.
Any questions from the board? Okay, shall we deliberate behind closed doors?
Yes.
And then come back with a verdict and,
If you want, you can close the meeting, and then we
yeah.
can deliberate.
Let's close the meeting now, and then we'll deliberate and then come back with results, or just notify Brandon.
You said you're going to adjourn the meeting for the day?
Yes.
Okay, before the board announces adjournment, we do have one other item that came up that I need to address. Let's see, that is item number 14, application 15-10042, Oxnard Petroleum LLC. The board earlier today denied this application due to lack of appearance. During lunch break, when I returned to my desk, we had a call from applicant herself.
Brendan, excuse me, for the applicant, you just may explain to him what the procedure is as far as us closing the meeting, and if they want to.
Oh, no, I understand.
Oh, okay.
Do we need to reopen this?
No, you can. Okay.
Sorry?
Go ahead.
Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, Brendan.
So for item number 14, applicant herself, Rahim, they called to report that they had to take their son to the doctor this morning and therefore could not make it to the hearing. The message was not relayed to me until I got to my desk at lunch. When I called him at lunchtime, I asked what the circumstances were. He explained to me that it was due to his son's medical issue. He couldn't make it today. I asked if he had a chance to document that in an email within the next 30 minutes so I could present it to your board to read. He said he wasn't going to be able to get to a computer so that I could provide you a documented explanation. Therefore, I told him I would relay the message to the board. The board can let their denial due to lack of appearance stand. Normally, if there's a medical circumstance, we would ask that they provide something in writing, and the clerk would recommend the case be continued rather than denied. So the board could also, if they believe the relayed testimony is sufficient reason to reopen and continue the case to a later date, the board could do that. If the denial remains, the applicant would have 60 days to request reconsideration and could also go that route. But just because it was due to a medical circumstance, typically we would recommend the board continue those, but he also hasn't given us anything in writing. So I leave it up to the board's discretion if they want to reverse their action to deny due lack of appearance since he did contact us, or if they would like to let it stand.
Which item was that again?
14, application 15-10042 for Oxnard Petroleum LLC.
I'd vote for reopening it.
Give them a continuance?
Yeah, continuance, yeah.
Continuance, okay.
So
Looking for a motion to continue.
Okay.
Item 14.
Perhaps we should have a motion to vacate the previous denial for lack of appearance and
Okay.
to continue.
Okay, motion to vacate the previous decision on denial due to lack of appearance.
So moved.
Second.
All right, please vote.
1 second.
All right. Okay, so now, and then, I didn't think it was such a rush during lunch. I didn't think to coordinate a date with him. Since the clerk does have some discretion at the date, I would say recommend the board order a continuance to be coordinated with the applicant and the assessor by the clerk at a later time, and I'll pick that date once I have a chance to confirm with everybody if that works with the board. So I guess at this time, we just need a motion to continue.
So moved.
Second.
Cool.
All right. Please vote. All right, that's done. All right, our last item on the agenda is adjournment.
Meeting is adjourned,
All right, time is 2:30 p.m.
and we will deliberate